What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the finals of the KCM, the TVZ conclusion here. We've got Royal versus Soma for game number 1. And here we go. Soma here in the top right, Royal in the top left. To bring up your lineup now, it is an amazing one. Sock, Light, Royal Rush, Hero, Queen, Soma, Soul Key. Bring in the A game here. Both of these lineups are absolutely sick, don't you think, Shun?
Lineups are absolutely amazing, Sen. I like both of the choices here, and I'm sure there'd be some discrepancies from some people at home, maybe thinking like, why not Jaedong instead of Hero and these sorts of things, but no. These are absolute stellar choices on both sides of the fence here. I'm really excited for this final, Sen.
All of these players have all killed in the past. I'm pretty sure everyone, maybe with the exception of Queen, getting all kills, just performing so well in the KCM as of late. I'm so glad that we're able to get all of these players together, even during the peak ASL season. I guess we're right now in a bit of a break here for ASL, so really excited to have all these guys here. Soma, it's hard to think of it like this nowadays. He's so powerful, but he is still kind of one of these newer players. He's on the same tier as Royal. He hasn't been around as long as someone like Queen, Light, or, you know, Hero. But like looking at this Terran lineup, a lot of newer players here, don't you think?
Yeah, and it's been so exciting as well, seeing how like Sark has been playing so good recently. It's kind of it's definitely interesting to see how this finals will play out, because you might even see some builds that we've not seen before in some of the now that it's ASL still going to be in consideration, so you want to be seeing the absolute best of builds that these players have in their pockets. They might even keep something hidden for a little bit later on as well, but we've got some very interesting things happening already. We've got Soma going for an overpool to be really safe early on against Royal in case of some early game shenanigans, but instead we've got a command center on the ramp from Royal. So I would say Royal's won the meta in the early game already with this build order choice.
Yeah, absolutely. He's gone for incredible greed here with the command center first. It's in a defensive spot, so even if Soma wanted to try to punish this, and it looks like he is going to try to punish that with 4 lings popping out, heading across the map here, there's not going to be a lot of room to try and punish this. I mean, we're going to have some repairs. Maybe an SCV or 2 can be sniped, but I think you should be able to hold on against this, don't you?
With some delaying with the SCV, yeah, because the wall should be just finishing up moments after the lings are in the choke here, so we'll see like maybe a chance of an SCV being sniped, but besides that, as long as Royal pulls more SCVs, he gets the first SCV kill, the second SCV onto this. Bad juggle from the SCV, goes down again, lost 2 SCVs already, has Royal trying to juggle these other 2 SCVs, another SCV's getting really unlucky with these bounces. Oh my gosh, these are Artosis SCVs right now, certainly not Flash SCVs. They are dying like flies right now, but the Marine is finally out, going to be starting to put down some DPS onto these lings, backing them off from killing any more of these SCVs, building a CC, but has delayed it so much, Sen.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any efficacy in just like oh god, another SCV goes down here. I wonder if there's any argument here for just like canceling or getting rid of the SCV off of there and just leaving the half-built CC there for a little bit. Because it's not going to end up dying to just 4 lings. Eventually, you're going to get those Marines out. And losing this many SCVs this early on is really painful. So, just the unlucky RNG there from Royal really costing him a lot. But, I don't know. I think that maybe he could have left that half-built for a little bit of time, at least until he pushes the lings off the ramp before coming back to continue. Oh, he loses the SCV on the map as well. Soma playing insane with these lings right now. It's so hard to do, to get us around like that on an SCV. They are so slippery. But just 4 lings, getting that surround, hitting all 4 corners. He manages to take that out, and now some pressure coming across from Royal. But Soma, he's got to have some lings inbound. He's seen this move out with his with his Overlord. He's going to pull the drones.
Wow, this is actually kind of good for Royal if he doesn't lose the Marines here, because he's going to kill the Overlord for free, pull out the drones, so there's some lost mining time for Soma there as well. It's a small victory for Royal, trying to claw his way back into this game in some way, shape, or form, a little bit economically. But the Marines now out of position as the Lynx pounce on them. It's Soma's time to strike, and he's going to clear up pretty much all of these Marines, save for maybe 2, I think. Oh, he gets only 1 Marine survives, so this is actually really good for Soma. Reducing the Marine count just before the next phase of the game is crucial for the Zerg here. It was just so much less air defense for Royal to work with, makes it so he needs to build more turrets than he would like to, stay in his base longer than he would like to, and sometimes even just die straight up because the Mutalisks will just overrun the Terran player. It's just simply not enough bio to defend against the waves of Mutalisks and Lings that follow.
Soma's producing a lot of Lings here right now, actually, and wanting to put on this pressure even more. Maybe try to pick off all of these Marines here in the natural. Oh, he's running by into the main. Things are really starting to fall apart for Royal, but look at that. Fire Bats popping out just barely in time here. And Royal not controlling, or excuse me, Soma not controlling these Lings very well, bringing them in kind of haphazardly and getting mopped up. So Royal's still giving himself a chance here, but things are really not looking good right now. Bringing forward these Marines and Firebats to clear out the Lings in the main, but kind of in shambles here right now is Royal. He doesn't have any turrets on the way, and we're probably getting some Mutas in production right now. Just gonna try and put on as much pressure as possible. There's the Spire finishing up.
Yeah, there was a small moment there, I think, where there was a bit of harassment at the third base of Soma, but the drones quickly killed the unit that was trying to harass at the third base during all that. So Soma on top of his defense and his offense, trying to snipe this Firebat at the front line, does get a pick on that. Really nice snipe from Soma there. So far showing us exemplary levels of Ling Micro. Tries to run in and gets on top of these Marines, cutting off the retreat by getting behind them, but lost a lot of the Lings in the process. Trying to reduce this bio count drastically before the Mutalisks start to come into play, but was a little bit overextensive there with his Lings and maybe lost a few too many for only 2 kills there of those Marines. But it is going to be forcing Royal to be a little bit more panicky and having a sense of urgency and getting these turrets up and making sure he's got his T's crossed and his I's dotted, as he doesn't want to fall apart all at once to these initial Mutalisks from Soma. But right now only have 3 Mutas in the main base, so not too scary for the time being.
This is going to get pretty oppressive, though, here very, very soon with Soma pumping off of 3 hatch gas. 3 gases are operational here. He is going to be able to produce a ton of Mutas. He won't have a great transition, but the pressure will be immense. You can see already 3 turrets here in the natural. Royal really realizing what's going on here. He needs so much to defend. And you know, Soma, I understand why he was diving with those Lings. If he managed to kill off all of the Marines there, would have just been a straight up win for him as the Mutalisks here come in. But now he's bled off a lot of Mutas, or he's bled off a lot of Lings. He's got the Muta count now, but you know, he doesn't have that much drones behind this. He really needs to get things done here. Picking off 2 turrets already is a good start. He's going to start to work on some of these Marines. I don't think that range is quite done. It might have just finished. And now going after this gas, trying to pick that off. Going after some Marines too. We've got a bunker here in the front, so he doesn't get overwhelmed by Lings, but there's really not that many Lings on the field. Looks like some drones have been added on for Soma, so he's not going all in with this. Rather, he's just going to put on as much pressure as he can and kind of fall back onto a later economy here with the 3 gas. More Marines being picked off here at the front. That command center is also low too. It's getting a lot of glaive bounces there as it burns. Picking off that gas is huge, though.
Oh yeah, just denying that gas will be really difficult for Royal to put the Mutalisks on the clock by getting out Valkyries and Wraiths or even vessels, whatever he chooses to go for. And he's just coming in and devastating and ripping open these positions of turrets is Soma. This is a 3-hatch all-in Mutalisk play, so he's just been making non-stop Mutas this entire time until he sees that there's an opportunity to transition if required. We see the science facility online now with the 2nd control tower on the starport. Soma just tearing through these Marines and turrets with these Mutalisks shooting out their glaives, just bouncing around this Terran expansion area. Really difficult for Royal to secure this area, and especially the gas. It's just a nightmare for him right now to even try and think about mining that gas right now for Royal. So not going to be wanting to go for that anytime soon. Just wanting to stabilize this natural position for the time being while he eventually tries to squeeze out a few of these vessels, because once the irradiates start to come out, it's going to be much difficult for Soma to keep trading here.
Yeah, the gas count is getting pretty high here for Soma. He's going to have a good point to transition from, but what do you go to from here? Look at where the third base is right now. I think we're going to have to see like a Hydralisk Defiler play out of him, because trying to get into Lurkers and get a fourth base up, it's going to be incredibly hard, am I right?
Yeah, no, you're completely right. But Guardians would also be another opportunity here. And the geometry does work well for Guardians, because you've got this natural close to Soma. Would be good to hit that with Guardians. And you also can defend on this horizontal axis. So yeah, it's an option to go Guardians here for Soma if he didn't want to do a full transition into a normal game.
Yeah, you bring Hydralisk up with that as well to kind of defend against these air units. Man, that Irradiate doing so much damage here. Doesn't matter if you're going to morph those into Guardians, but losing these mutas is super, super bad. Oh no, missing the egg on the ramp. That is not a mistake you want to make here as a Zerg player. At the professional level, most Zergs are able to hit that, but looks like Soma's messed it up, and the Marines are going to get in here. They're going to kill the Evo chamber and possibly the third base as well. Muta's here trying to clean up right now, but this is way too many Marines.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think Soma should have pulled the trigger on that transition when he did. I feel like he should have stayed with the Mutas a little bit longer and then got into Guardians instead and kept the pressure on Light and not giving him any pressure on Royal to not let him come out like this. But look at Royal just coming out like a steamroller, just absolutely destroying the Mutalisk in the sky with his bio control and then just ripping through these expansions. Yes, it was a big mistake from Soma not to make the Lurker Egg on the ramp there, but still was a really bad position for Soma. He had lost a lot of his Mutas, and now Royal gunning down the remainder of these Lurkers at 3 o'clock, and maybe even the remainder of these Mutalisks too if they come in to continue fighting. So really great play from Royal. I think he's basically destroyed Soma. I don't think there's any hope that Soma can claw his way back into this game, but so far he's staying in it.
Yeah, staying in here, though there's very little hope. It's crazy how much pressure can be applied by the Zerg, and yet Royal comes out with this incredible attack that just can't be stopped here. One tiny mistake with the Lurker on the ramp, and the Soma is just dead. There's almost nothing he can do from this position. Lurkers are probably going to be the option here. Maybe he's going to go for Defiler right away. I'm not sure if he actually started that Hive, but there's kind of a Hail Mary play with Defilers that you can try to pull off. I don't think it's going to work though. Royal just a little bit too good for that. He's going to have too many Irradiates. He's going to have so much bio here. Yeah, there's nothing that can be done. Royal's going to take game number 1.
I think so, Sen. It's looking pretty dicey for Soma as we see the Terran player just starting to like launch an assault onto the natural expansion, throwing down a few irradiates onto those Lurkers too. And Defilers aren't even out yet. He's only just now getting this Defiler mount online, so it's going to be a really rough hold for him. There's only one Lurker remaining after this one pops now, so he needs to wait for these other Lurker eggs to hatch as well. Does have a few Scourge to try and catch one of these vessels, but is not going to be successful in doing so. Another train of bio coming from the west as well, escorting these other 2 science vessels. So yeah, this is going to be really rough for Soma. I don't see any mathematical chance of him winning. The further this game goes on and progresses, like I think that Royal's coming close to 100% win rate here.
God, Royal is just so strong, man. Even losing those early SCVs, trying to build that quick command center, it wasn't enough to give Soma a winning position. He maybe overcommitted a little bit too much to the early game damage there, sending so many Lings into their death, trading out with just a few Marines. He's now just trying desperately to get this base in the bottom right, but he's not going to be able to get a Nidus in position in time. There's the Defiler coming out. There's one Lurker left. He does pick off one Science vessel, which is nice, but losing this hatchery is really the key point of this game. Not allowing this to go up is a game-winning maneuver here from Royal. Royal, he's gotta deal with these lurkers, of course. They're coming up the ramp now, but the irradiates here dealing so much damage. The spread of Marines is too much. GG, Soma taps out. And we've got first blood here in this series. Okay, Soma got eliminated first. Man, you really don't expect to see that. One of the strongest, most aggressive Zerg players there. Maybe getting a little overly aggressive after taking a bit of an early lead. Royal holding on brilliantly though, and the counterattack was savage, taking out Soma. Now on to Sulky here. Tempest is going to be the map with Royal in the top right, Sulky in the bottom right. How do we feel about this map, Shun?
Oof, I mean, it does allow you to be a little bit more greedier than usual, so it's possible we'll see, you know, maybe some Valkyrie builds on this map more often than not. Maybe a little bit of greedy play from the Zerg as well. It's potential for even 3 hatch before pool is a potential on this map because 14cc becomes so much more likely. But the way the meta works is kind of weird because 14cc is so likely and strong. The Zerg is very likely to like 9 pool or something like this, and then that makes the Terran think to themselves, maybe I shouldn't 14cc because it's so likely that I should 14cc. The Zerg will then counter me. So sometimes there's this weird like juggling of mental gymnastics to figure out what's the most optimal way of opening up based on these factors, but it seems like we're going to be going for a very fast gas from Royal actually, so maybe going straight into 1-1-1 or mech here.
Interesting. And an 11 hatch here from Sulky, so not doing the most efficient opener here for Zerg. Going for an 11 hatch is a little bit light on drones, but it's going to allow you to get that spawning pool out just a little bit faster. So he will be more safe. He's sending out the drone as well, so he's aware of the possibility we could have, racks on the map here to put on early pressure, or an 8 racks in the natural. That seems like a good build on this map, right? You get the 8 racks in the natural. There's definitely a way to kind of wall in here at the front and have a defensive position to retreat to if that 8 racks does no damage, but that's just not what's coming. And Sulky, he's going to get in here and scout. He sees the factory coming down. He knows that he's going to need a sunken colony here, but he should be completely fine.
Yeah, he will be fine. Another thing with this 11 hatch is that the creep will be finished faster. So if it was a really aggressive like 10-10-10 factory, he could immediately make the sunken now when he needs to, because the vulture will come so much earlier. But against a build like this, you don't even need to place the sunken until like 3 minutes 20, 3 minutes 30, and you'll be safe.
Yeah, and he's gonna have that creep way out in position here by that time. He's kind of delaying that to the maximum. He saw the factory timing completely, so he can get that at the last possible moment here, which is always a benefit of Zerg.
Yeah, it's really important at the highest echelons of the game, any level of the game really, but especially at this level, being able to min-max your build like this, where you squeeze out every little drop it's so important, especially in this particular matchup, because the Zerg economy is so low. So being able to maximize even just how the mineral path, even just focusing on which minerals are the best to be mined, and these kind of small factors become such a large factor in deciding who is going to come out on top in the economic curve of the game. And both players can do that more or less to the highest of level, but someone like Royal, I feel like, I don't know for sure, but I get the feeling that he's not the best at these min-maxes sometimes, but he's definitely one of the best at it.
Well, if you are playing on ladder right now, this map has been added to that ladder. So if you're playing Zerg, just take a look at the mineral patches that Sulky is sending his drones to. Copy that, because this man is absolutely a min-maxer. He is going to get the absolute the most amount of minerals you can possibly get from these patches. Oh, he slipped out some links here onto the map. That's been unscouted. by Royal. He's got a couple of vultures back at home, though. 3, in fact. He's going for a drop right now, but he's going to be hit in the face. This might actually come in just a little bit too early, because if those were headed across the map in a dropship, this would be much more difficult to hold. But since these vultures are still here, they're going to be able to hold at that ramp with the SCVs. Looks like going to dive on top of this, maybe get one vulture. He's going to get one. Can he get a second? Picking these off would be huge, because they're not going to be able to get into his main. That dropship now being kind of useless here. With more lings coming up, he might be able to get one more of these vultures. No, just going after some of these SCVs here, but he gets inside. He sees the drop. He knows everything. This is so good for Sulky.
Oh, this is like maximum level of knowledge. He knows everything, and even though he didn't do critical damage with these lings, he's also delaying the drop from coming into the base. So now, eventually, by the time this dropship could come down here, he would be defended by being able to make some Scourge or Mutalisks. So now this has kind of taken the wind out of Royal sails from this build. He's just going to be transitioning into a little bit of a biomech style for the time being, where he's going to rely on this bunker at the front with a marine in it while he gets the Valkyrie out and starts to transition into a more mech-focused way of playing. It looks like Mutalisks flying into the main base already. Scourge already swipes the Valkyrie! This is huge for Sulky. This is all he needed. It was to snipe this first Valkyrie, and now he's going to get on top of the Terran production. This is really bad news, Bears. The SCV's coming off to try and repair this Goliath desperately, and does manage to do so. Royal stabilizes for the time being. Another pair of Scourge coming in to snipe this other Valkyrie. Meanwhile, the dropship making its way downtown, all the way to the bottom right corner of the map to see if he can put some pressure and snipe some drones as well. The Valkyrie now at threat as the Scourge come back in, gets the snipe on the second Valkyrie as well. Sulky might have just about done it as he jumps on top of this other Goliath, but there's now a drop in the main base, causing a little bit of pressure, but he's so desperately trying to defend that he can't quite get up here and snipe the drones because there's a sunken colony blocking him from getting into position to do too much damage. Sulky is on fire, tearing apart this SCV line in the expansion zone.
Oh, this is critical damage here. Sulky has done it, I think. The intelligence of sneaking those lings out, so smart here from Sulky, but really an error truly from Royal, not having his vulture covering the whole of the natural, seeing everything. 6 kill vulture down here in the bottom, but it is going to get surrounded by these drones because there's so much going on back at home. Royal just not able to deal with that, to get that to deal maximum damage. It doesn't matter. GG is called. Royal taps out. Sulky takes him down. A very impressive technical game there. I felt like just slipping out those lings, the ability to get those lings on the map, that should not have happened there for Royal, but making that tiny little error, similar to what happened to Soma in that last game, you know, not having the critical unit in the absolute perfect position to get what he needed to do done, allows some of the units to slip through, get around the map, and you know, kind of shut down that drop. Wow, really crazy game here. But you know, Royal now eliminated. Who are we gonna bring out next for the Terran squad? We're about to find out. Let's jump right in. Okay, Light being sent out next. It's a bit of a speed run today in this Zerg versus Terran finals. Tons of quick technical games, but that's kind of the way ZVT goes. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's also fun to see some late game, but we'll probably get a few of those as well. Maybe Light here, more of a conservative Terran. Could give us an epic game here versus Sulky on Neo Sylphid. He's going to start out with a wall here at the front. Definitely one of the most storied players, don't you agree?
Oh, 100%. This guy's been around for a long time, and I would say one of the most notorious for getting all kills back in the day. Like, it wasn't uncommon for his whole team to show up and he's the only one playing pretty much every single time. You know, like, that was a very common thread for Light back in the day. He was eating all kills for breakfast at one point. We're going to see a 11 hatch at a Sulky to match the build order of this Walden.
Really favoring the 11 hatch today is Sulky. Keeps throwing that down against these Terran players, so maybe he knows something that we don't. Is or has this mapped out to where he can actually deal with the 8 racks or the cheesy plays out here, the early Marines from these Terran players. It's been really popular recently, putting on huge pressure in the early game, going for that 8 racks. So this may be an adjustment that we're seeing from Sulky.
Yeah, I think it might be a style choice, but it also might be figured out that if you are min-maxing your mineral boosting that much in the early game, that it's worth it to go for the 11 hatch to squeeze out faster lava from having the hatchery finished earlier as well. Can be a big, nice drone blocking here from Sulky. Light just barely going to get in with this SUV, it looks like, but Sulky did a really good job there of taking its SUV down all the way to 25 hit points before it got in, so it's going to be really easy to clean up now. And it looks like a drone is going to be chasing that around, trying to get the moving shot on that as Light just dances it around. So far being successful in keeping that alive. It's really important to keep scout of the Zerg player at this point in the game to see exactly when the gas is coming out, how many lings are popping out of these lava and such. So obviously the pressure of the 3 Marines moving across the map now to the 3 o'clock location, maybe doing a little bit of a pressure play here, is Light wanting to cause as much mayhem as possible, setting up the bunker up here right now and causing a lot of pressure to the Zerg can be quite big because the Zerg wants to only make a few Zerglings, is being super greedy right now, wants to go all the way into maybe even Defiler, Hydra Ling, but the way they do that is by going for this like gasless 3 base style. So
wow, this is really a great back and forth here between these two guys. Oh, gonna jump on top of the Marines here. Ling's gonna get some damage onto these, but kills only 1. Oh, he gets the second as well. Nice job by Sulky there, getting a second Marine as well. There's only 2 Marines here now, and the SCV has been pushed back, so the bunker will be stopped. It was like, just for a second here, Light went into the main. He saw that there was a late gas, and he didn't see a 3rd hatch there, so he realized it's got to be on that high ground location, and he sent the SCV plus the Marines there immediately to try and get that bunker down. But because the 11 hatch was the choice here with the pool immediately after, Sulky had the Lings out just barely in time to deny that pressure. So that was a great little back and forth there between these two players, and now we're really seeing the power kind of this 11 hatch, the ability to get that 3rd base up really quick, and the Lings behind it to defend against that early Marine pressure. Sulky is in a great spot here, and it's all planned. You can see it from Sulky's perspective. He had this build mapped out completely, and we're gonna see what he has as a follow-up for this. It's going to be something really powerful, I should think, here.
Well, what Sulky's doing is the greedy version of a style that's really popular on this map. Usually you go like overpool into these 3 bases before gas to then have a really strong economy, but he's done it with 11 hatch, so he's done it in the most super greedy way possible, and that's why we saw this pressure play from like coming in at this 3 o'clock location with that bunker rush, because he knew that Sulky was doing this style but in a very greedy way. So he wanted to get a little bit of a punish in, but wasn't able to execute. And now Sulky's in a phenomenal spot as he starts to make a single sunken for safety. Light will want to come out and put some more pressure on here. The medics are coming out of the barracks. Got 9 Marines starting to move across the map as Sulky makes being forced to make some of these sunkens at these locations. So there is 2 bases to defend, but this base at the 3rd is just so hard to crack since it's on high ground that pretty much Light will do nothing about it for the time being. But he is wanting to force out these sunkens right now to limit the economic prowess of the Zerg as much as possible while the Spire's on the way.
Yeah, it's gonna come across here, but I don't think you can bust through these 2 sunkens, especially with Lings on the map right now. Even if you kill one of the sunkens, the Lings are gonna surround and probably just take out your entire bio force. That's gonna leave you in a terrible position when the 3 hatch muta comes into play, because we're cranking out a ton of minerals here on 3 bases. We're gonna get that 3rd gas here soon, and that's just gonna lead to a crazy amount of mutas in the mid game. He scans, he sees what's going on, he just heads on back home. I think that's the right choice here from Light.
It's definitely the right choice. Yeah, and yes, I think Sulky's just going to do what he does best and get a huge swarm of Mutalisks and Zerglings and just swallow up the Bio Ball at some point in time. You see the Queen's Nest on the way at the 3rd. I think it's Sulky, so I still think he'll do some kind of Mutaling play, but I think the end goal here is what I was saying earlier with the Defiler, Hydra, Lurker Ling. Like, this is like the optimal style, not only in general, but on this map in particular. Going for these early 3 bases and then going straight into defilers with Hydras is very common for a lot of Zergs to do. So I think that will be the goal for Sulky here, but for the time being, it will be an emphasis on the Mutaling going into that transition.
I hope he starts the lurker upgrade here right away, because we've got 5 racks play coming out of light. He's going to go right into that +1 attack as well. This is going to be a very powerful Terran player out on the map, dealing damage, threatening to bust through. Lings are going to go for the counterattack, though. He can definitely stop this factory from building and maybe get on top of some of these Marines here inside the main. No, he's going to back away for now. Coming back in to threaten the counterattack. Once again, going to kill a supply depot potentially. As these Marines move across the map, though, how many Sunkens do we have in the natural? Because if it's not like 5, this is still a really big threat. We got the Mutalisks here at the back. There's only 3, and 2 or 1 of them is still morphing in. So this is a real dangerous position right now for Sulky. We might see Light bust.
Yeah, Light could actually just bust right now. The only reason he's not going for it is that Sulky's being active with these Mutalisks nearby, and Light's trying to train down another round of Marines to come down here and help finish the job and make this Bioball just a little bit too big to handle for this flock of Mutalisks. But he's going to buy a little bit of time for Sulky to set up another Sunken or 3 as he starts to morph in more and more creep colonies, desperately trying to hold on here as he knows there's a big Bioball. One thing that Sulky's got going for him is there's only a couple of medics here, and there's not too many medics that it's going to be tough for him to like tank all the damage here. So it's going to be good for him. But he comes in with a big flank of Marines, getting great surface area on these Sunkens, decimating them in the front line. But Sulky with his Mutalisk Glaze bouncing left, right, and center, going to be taking out the majority of these bio units before they can get the job done. Just barely had enough Sunkens to overwhelm that Bioball. Light, unfortunately, kind of pulled the trigger at the wrong time and is going to pay the price for it. Ooh, that's the tough stuff to swallow.
Yeah, sending in the fire bats as well, bit of a mistake. You want to have the fire bats wherever the Lings are, and the Lings came from the flank, but the fire bats were hitting the sunken colonies, so the Lings did more damage than they should have. The Mutas did a ton of damage there as well, and those emergency sunken colonies end up paying off huge dividends here for Sulky. He holds on to that position and he kills off that huge Bioforce. It's not as big of a deal here to lose that whole Bioforce, but it's always painful to just barely not break through as the Terran player. He is going to be able to, however, replenish that bio number pretty darn quickly here with 5 racks. He's gotten into a couple of starports here as well. He's going to have some vessels coming out, so a decent position here for Sulky, but not exactly a win here. He's not so far ahead that it's going to be an easy takedown from this position. We've still got a lot of play here for Light, and he's already moving out with a huge Bioforce heading out towards the front. Why is he killing this turret right now? I'm a little confused.
I think it's the SimCity issue. I think he wants to have more barracks placed there, so he wants to have 8 barracks in a like an L shape, like a kind of upside down L shape. So he wants to clear out that spot. So he needs that hex tile free, so he can put down more barracks. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, he's gonna go into kind of a crazy macro game here, with those vessels coming out and pushing forward. There's not too much that Sulky can do with these mutas anymore, so I guess killing off these turrets is not gonna affect him too much. The mutas are really ineffective at this point. They're gonna look for maybe a snipe on that SCV there, building the 3rd, but already Light on top of that, moving into position to defend. More hatcheries coming up here, and the Defiler is out and ready. So Sulky's not gonna die anytime here soon, but there's gonna be a ton of pressure applied now with these science vessels.
Yeah, it is looking like that this is what Sulky wants to do with the play that we anticipate he would go for earlier with the Hydralisk, Defiler, Lurkerling style, with just a ton of hatcheries and macro potential. Can be the most cost-efficient way of fighting against Terran with that big juicy Plagues and Dark Swarm, and Hydralisk being absolutely invincible underneath that Dark Swarm makes it so hard for the Terran to deal with. We see Light wanting to come out onto the map and put some pressure on the Zerg now. He wants to start chain irradiating these Defilers and Lurkers and put on a lot of pressure to Sulky and just kind of prevent him from spreading out on the map too much. He needs to basically contain the virus, so to speak, and make sure like he puts Sulky in quarantine right now and limits his potential. But only has a few vessels out on the field. Needs to be careful. He's got 2 vessels just chilling out in the natural Sulky right now. He needs to be careful. Okay, I thought those were 2 vessels, not 2 Marines. Like, for a moment there, I was really worried for Light that he was about to lose 2 vessels for free.
We're coming out now with the first plague of the game, I should think. We get a really decent one here. No, just a single Darkstorm, so maybe plague not quite complete yet. Gonna lose that first Defiler and a bunch of Lurkers here just for taking this position out in the front. I'm not sure if this is worth it, but he's buying, giving himself some space here to work with in the front. He can start to rally everything outside of his natural. Get a bunch of Hydras here. He should have the Hydralisk upgrades coming as well, speed and range, plus Hydralisk attack most likely. I doubt that he's going for Carapace and melee attack, probably Carapace and ranged attack here, because he's gonna have to do some really heavy lifting with these Hydralisks before he can get that 4th gas online. Looks like he's gonna try and take it at the front. That base doesn't last for long though. That is a very low money base location there, but it will give him the amount of power that he needs to really produce a massive army and get out on the map, hopefully. And drop a plague. First plague of the game there, doing pretty well against these Marines, and the Lurkers are going to clean up a bunch of them. Hydras cannot fight against just pure Marine with their medics kind of healing, but once you get the plague on there, they clean them up rapidly, and that's what Sulky's going to be looking for here. More and more plagues. Unfortunately, we got a red Terran, so it's a little hard to see where the plagues are, but he's going to be blanketing down plagues like crazy here in this game.
Yeah, I worry for Light a little bit. Right now, he's doing a great job of containing the threat, but now Sulky's going to try and make a play for the center of the map with these forces, Lurker, Ling, Lurker, Defiler. Right now, though, Light doing a great job of having this concave of Marines to fight this force back, but as soon as the Darkstorm start to land, he's going to wisely back off and try and shark around elsewhere. He understands that this is a big issue right now, but the biggest boon for Light is that it's so hard to control these Defilers out in the center of the map, so he's going to keep trying to bait him out and into these fights so he can clean up these small pockets of Zerg and then come in for little counterattacks like this. Big plague on these vessels, though. Huge plague for Sulky. That's just what he needed right there. Now these Science Vessels are going to be one shot to these Hydralisks, which is a big threat for Light. It's going to make him a lot more timid and passive. He may want to go home with these Science Vessels and just repair them up as soon as that plague wears off.
It's a difficult choice here for Light. Do you keep these Science Vessels on the map and keep the pressure on and risk losing them all, or do you send them all home and just totally relieve pressure off of the Zerg for a time? It looks like he is going to send those back home and instead send out dropships to try and continue that pressure. Tanks are now being produced. This is really what you need to do. Oh, the vessels are going down en masse. So many vessels falling there. Like 4 or 5 vessels go down immediately to those few Mutalisks, so keeping those in the back pocket and now making his way up here to the front. Sulky is going to get huge damage here. Meanwhile, a drop coming in to both the 3rd base and potentially the main as well. A lot of action here on the map right now, but it looks like Sulky's getting the better of these trades.
Yeah, this drop in the main could make all the difference. If he can get in, do some critical damage now, maybe Light will flip the script on how well these trades have been going. The Marines so far going unchallenged in the main base, gunning down the drones. Finally, Sulky returns fire and starts to retreat those drones out of the way, but has got the Dark Swarms set up at a natural expansion of Light. If only he could get more forces across the map to keep the assault on, maybe this would be huge. So far, the best form of defense is offense for Light as he keeps the pressure on in the main base of Sulky for the time being, while more forces make their way to the 3rd base location, and keeping Sulky distracted as much as possible while he restabilizes his position. He's on 4 bases right now. He's got what he needs to take out Sulky. Sulky does have his 4 gases online, but like we were saying earlier, this 4th gas is only a temporary base, really not going to have that longevity that you need from the amount that it has in these geysers, so only going to be having that online for 5 or so minutes until that starts to dry up.
Yeah, there's a real timer here for Solki, because when we hit that 20-minute mark, the main base and natural gas are going to start to run out, and then at the same time, this fourth base is going to start to run out as well. So that's going to be kind of the breaking point here for Solki. He needs to get either this bottom left-hand base up and operational, or take that other main there at the 12 o'clock. It's critical that he gets that going here very, very soon. Trying to end the game here is also a possibility right now, but I don't think it's advisable. Light is starting to really spread out on the map here. He's got insane production with his 4 bases online. I think that getting another base going for Solki and, you know, trying to extend this game even further is probably going to be the best play here. But Light, man, he is just really spreading out on the map right now with these tanks, kind of making a no man's land here in the middle, where anything that comes forward for Solki is going to end up getting taken out. Maybe he needs to get a few lings together, try and jump on top of those tanks, so it's still going to be a risk here. Oh, one vessel here with very low HP. Could have targeted that down, but doesn't take that opportunity. Light taking another base. He's going up to 5 bases, Shun.
Yeah, he's going up to 5 bases. He basically wants to lock out Solki from the north main base, so he can have all these bases, and Solki's just like left to this one little corner here. So it looks like Light's got the long game in mind. He wants to just expand to these 2 main base locations, cut the map into like 2/3, and just keep the virus contained in the southeast quadrant, and just, yeah, basically not allow this virus to spread out onto the map. He understood that Solki had this a little bit of an advantage in the early game going for this style, and went about it the greedy way with the 11 hatch as well. But now is starting to show Solki who's boss by this beautiful map control that we see in the center of the map, with this big massive tank line as well, acting as like a barrier to keep Solki just kept back at bay. But right now the tanks aren't in play fighting against the Zerg unit, so the gap of supply is actually slightly closing here. 177 supply for Light to 140 of Solki. This is the closest it's been for a very long time. So now Solki is going to be making some plays here, see some potential for counterattacks. So swarms and lurkers in the central map going to be opening up these positions, while some small counterattacks at the 5th base location went down by some lings. But unfortunately, lings aren't going to be too powerful on their own. You do need defilers with them to make them potent at this point in the game. So for the time being, Solki not finding any real damage, but is still trying to challenge this middle position of Light here. But the tank count is slowly growing further and further. 2-1 upgrades for these bio units, but as this tank count grows, it's going to be scarier and scarier for Solki. We do have 2 carapace upgrades and 1 melee, with Ultra starting to come out for Solki here, and the chitinous upgrade is already finished. So now is going to be the time for Solki to try and challenge this big force of Light. He has going to have all the tools he needs. Saying, can he do it?
Oh, this is really, really rough here. He's going to send out the first Ultras to try and take this fight, but I think they're going to get absolutely wiped out. Ultra does get underneath the Darkstorm, can deal a little damage to some of these tanks, but as soon as they back away out of that orange cloud, they will have to retreat. One big thing that happened during this fight that we didn't get on screen was the bottom left base got taken down. So that timer is getting more and more desperate here for Solki. The 20-minute mark has been reached. We are about to mine out of our main base and our natural. Can he get something done here on the map right now? This is really one of the last big waves of Ultras that can be produced, and Solki is shoving it down his throat, killing every single tank here. That is a huge win, but there's still more tanks behind this, up on that kind of false high ground there, defending the base at the 12. He's gonna look for damage elsewhere, trying to get in here on this location, but he just can't surround that bunker, so he's gonna back away, eat some irradiates, and really not getting the damage that he needed here, not really stopping Light from growing, losing all of these Ultras, and not securing another base. He's gonna try and get the 3rd quadrant of the map there in the 12 o'clock running, but I think that Light shutting down the base of the bottom left has really been the key this game that's allowed him to take a big lead, and now he's gonna try and shut down this base here, but does this even matter? Light still has so much income coming in, even if he loses his base. As long as he prevents Solki from taking another of his own, I think he's gonna be fine.
I think he will be fine. Right now, Light's looking like a bit of a beast, but the only issue for him is that Sulky has got a large amount of production for just a few more minutes as he starts to use up all of his lava, flooding out tons of Zerglings and Ultralisks, trying to overwhelm these positions. If he can just keep enough focus on breaking open some of these positions, he can start to crack open the huge defenses of Light. He just needs barely the right amount of units to do so, and at the moment he's not quite finding that damage that he's looking for. He is denying mining at this natural third base location, but Light doesn't mind too much about that. Right now doing a great job of cleaning up all of these Ultralisks. This 12 base for Sulky is still not really active as well, so he's not getting any gas benefit out of that. So what you see is what you get, and unfortunately for him, he's drying up in his gas count right now. He's not able to produce the units kind of required to keep Light at bay, but so far he's trading cost efficiently enough to keep the game going. So there is hope here for Sulky for the time being. If he can just somehow get this 12 base mining gas as well, 12 o'clock base mining gas would be great for him, but not quite finding that just yet. With the Dark Swarms helping out at these expansions, though, he will start to trade more and more efficiently and will start to deny Light from being able to keep this production going.
Yeah, look at how slowly the gas income is coming in for Sulky. He's shutting down this base here, but I think we're still fine as Light. We've got 2 base mining going. He's got a big bank, 2,000 minerals in the bank, 900 gas. Oh man, the 2 Marines here in the top. I was wondering when those were going to come into play. They're going to get over here and snipe this Nidus. Some Ultras are going to make their way up to the top. Oh, he actually saves the Nidus. Oh, 12 HP. He's going to get that Nidus up, and that means he can transfer drones through that area and get that gas operational. So it's incredibly important that he gets that going right now. Oh, the Ultra gets killed even under the Dark Swarm. That tank finally manages to deal that damage. He finishes that off. A drop in the 12. No, this is the last hope here for Sulky, and the drop is going to finish it off. That is so painful here. Sulky, he does get on this high ground and starts to kill off the SCVs here, but there's still a lot of minerals in the bank for Light, and he's still mining here. I don't know, man. This is really, really close right now, but I think Light is going to take it. There's just a few too many tanks and Marines. There's a bit too much money here on the side of Light, and Sulky's just pumping out basically pure Ling at this point because he just does not have the gas to do anything else.
Yeah, it's so close to being Sulky's game here. He's just barely not making the grade, but it is very close. And now with this Dark Swarm at the natural third area, could spell disaster for Light potentially if he can somehow maintain this threat in this area. Right now, though, there is enough vessels to start irradiating these defilers and backing away with these vessels desperately trying to keep them alive against the Scourge. But right now, actually, the supplies are kind of even. 126 for Sulky to 125 for Light actually kind of favors the Zergs. If somehow Sulky can find the trades, he will be able to win this game. It's just very difficult for him to come in here and trade cost efficiently at this stage in the game with the tank support and already so many vessels out on the field. So it is definitely an uphill battle for Sulky right now, but he actually does have the tools in his kit to be able to handle this. But not being allowed to take this expansion at the 12 o'clock is going to be the nail in the coffin as longer this game goes on, because Sulky desperately needs a little bit more gas, a little bit more minerals going forward here. He's starting to dry up now. These bases will be mined out. Big plays now at the outside of Light space here with these Dark Swarms trying to put the pressure on is Sulky, but not quite having the unit threshold that he needs to overpower these positions. So right now Light doing a great job of just weathering the storm and hanging in there.
Yeah, the mass fire bat transition is coming here for Light, just producing a ton of those because he knows that Sulky's going to be relying heavily on Lings here to try and push back these armies. So many fire bats being mixed in. That's going to make this army incredibly potent, even under Dark Swarm. Going to be pushing forward here once again, trying to secure another base. A base in the bottom left is going up. It's starting to be saturated here. He's going to get that gas immediately online. So Sulky actually adapting here a little bit, getting that base going right away. Here comes a big attack through the middle. Tons of Lings coming up here, but again, the fire bats and Marines here just gonna clean through all of these Lings. We've got one final defiler here, but it's gonna be tracked down. Oh, he does manage to keep that alive for now. One vessel here running forward. If he kills this defiler, that's gonna be huge. He gets it. Oh no. Now nothing here. No defiler for Sulky. There's the gas. He needs to get it. He needs to mine this.
He needs that gas so badly.
Look at how
it's
slow.
kind of crazy.
Look at how slow the gas is going up right now. Okay, I think he just got it. I think he just got it.
Okay, good.
Oh, another big attack.
Work,
Yeah, maybe he can just barely pull this out. This is so close. One more Ultra did manage to hit the field here, but looks like it's going to be shoved back. Oh, God. Marines and Firebats making their way down here. He's got to keep this base alive right now. It's so critical. There, he does manage to pick off those Firebats. But this is going to be the point of attention here right now for Light. Another base up in the top right. If he can keep that alive as well, he stands a really, really good chance of winning this game. Light going to have to split his attention between the bottom left and the top right. One of those bases needs to die right now. Ling's forcing the liftoff here in the top left. That's just kind of buying a little bit of time. Oh, Radiate. There's no burrow here. No burrow for Sulky. He's going to lose every single drone. 7 kills, 9 kills on this vessel. He's going to make his way down here as well. Try to kill even more drones. No, Sulky. He was so close. And now he's going to lose every single drone.
There's some Scourge coming in to clean up those vessels, but there's so many drones that are Razor Trick. You hate to see it. Sulky is just barely hanging on by a thread. Now going to start to be losing the space in the top right as well. He's still flooding some units at the gates of Light, trying to clean up these tanks as much as he can, reduce the potency of the Terran force. But now that this base is being shut down in the top, I just don't see how Sulky's going to do it. He's just dried up too much. He's got three base worth of economy, but he's not really mining at these bases much anymore after that Eraser Trick. So he's desperately trying to get drones out there, transferred over, but it's just too late for Sulky, and just starting to dry up now, and unable to have the potency he needed to fight these big forces of Light.
Man, you really, it hurts so bad to see a player of Sulky's caliber just not get that burrow upgrade. It's so useful. It would have saved every drone there had he invested that 100 minerals, 100 gas. He is going to keep this base alive for now. Going to continue to mine here, and he's still harassing bases over in the top left. With quite a few, units out on the map, he's keeping the supply relatively close, but he's abandoning the defense of the bottom left to try and deal some damage here. I think Light is going to come down and potentially shut this down once again. Yeah, coming down immediately with all of these Marines and medics. Firebats as well. There's just nothing down here to defend. This should be the final blow here. Everything's been cleaned up for Sulky. That attack over towards the top center was shut down. All the drones are going to die here, and this should be GG, man. What an incredibly close game, though.
Yeah, it's crazy, this game, because Sulky was so close to just getting this base online at 12 o'clock. If he'd made that Nihilus Canal just a little bit earlier, maybe he would have done it. GG, cool from Sulky. Wow.
Incredible back and forth there between these two. Absolutely fantastic game here on Neosylphid. Gets the clapper from KCM. Double thumbs up as well. Definitely deserved here. Light played a hell of a game, and Sulky really took him to task, made him work for it, man. And that one, I think Light was getting close to mining out himself there, but Terran on 4 base is just, it's got so much longevity.
Yeah, he was getting mined out at the end, they're saying, but wow. Well executed from Light, just barely had enough steam left in the tank to roll over Sulky at the end.
Alright, that's what I'm talking about. That was a game there between Sulky and Light, man. Quite the back and forth there. I know I've said that a few times, but man, those guys really firing back at each other over and over again. Man, the drop, I think, in the 12 o'clock was so clutch by Light. I know there was tons of moments there, but cutting off that next gas geyser, cutting off that 12 o'clock from being taken was huge. Light managed to snowball that game, eventually take that win, but now he's here against Hero on La Campanella. I actually have some. I have some more information about this map name for you, Yushin. Actually, one of the commenters, I can't remember whose name it was, so sorry I can't shout you out, man. I tried to take a look back in the comments, but we get a lot of comments here, so wasn't able to find your name, but shout out to you. Apparently this La Campanella is a famous musical piece played on the piano. It's considered one of the hardest musical pieces there is. So that, I think, is why this map was given that name. It's a very difficult musical piece on the piano, and oftentimes StarCraft is compared to playing the piano.
Ah, that's interesting. I like that we've got some lore now behind this name. We've kind of gone on a journey of trying to decipher exactly what this map name means, and now we have some answers. Yeah, and I'm sure the player piano is very happy about that, you know. Yeah, you don't know. Finally, its name can have some relevance in the StarCraft world. And, well, I like this placement of the pool by Hero as well, optimizing the minerals here. And when the minerals are aligned this way to the hatchery, you can place your spawning pool kind of against the mineral line on that horizontal axis to slightly redirect the mineral pathing so they slide a little bit more efficiently to those top two patches. Now I'm going to put a bit of pressure on this wall with this drone is Hero, taking a lot of shots off on this SCV, really annoying early on. I like this way of thinking, just to put a little bit of pressure and get a bit of a moral victory over Light in the early game. He's going to need every little bit of advantage he can muster against someone of Light's caliber.
Yeah, absolutely. And he actually slowed down that supply depot a bit, so we can't produce anything right now as Light, but he's just gonna not make a Marine for now. Just having a single Marine, actually walking pretty far across the map right now. He's gonna try and get in here, maybe kill a drone or something? What is he actually doing with this? There should be a pair of Lings popping out here in a second, but maybe he can just snipe a drone before then. No, drones are gonna be forced away. Oh, he's gonna hop it over. He's gonna hop it over. He gets it over. Oh, so sneaky. We saw this from Sock in previous weeks of the KCM. Now it's gonna be Light doing it. Gonna try and block this now. Oh, the SCVs come back to try and kill this. Try and stop this drone. Oh, drone is gonna get killed. No, a mistake there from Hero. He loses a drone. Trying to hop another Ling over, but this is getting kind of crazy here. Lings are gonna jump over once again. Here we go. He gets the two Lings over. Will finish off that single Marine, but that was a lot of damage for just the cost of one SCV and one Marine. Pretty crazy.
Oh, that's great damage, Say, and I'm kind of shocked. I'm also equally shocked that Hero managed to get the double Ling over. It's actually much harder to do than it looks, getting the double Ling drill over like that, and especially in a high octane pressure situation where if he makes the mistake, he could just lose the game straight away. So it is kind of a lot of pressure on the Zerg player to execute in situations like this, especially when he didn't anticipate this play from I don't think he did anyway, but like you say, we've seen Sock do this. I'm starting to think that also Light went for this play, not just because Sark has done it, but also because he knows Hero. He knows Hero is the kind of player that even though he can play any style under the sun, he does tend to go towards the greedier macro way of thinking. So kind of exploiting that and anticipating there would be lack of Lings at that point in the game and really taking advantage of that situation with that singular Marine, getting a big advantage for him.
Yeah, he's going to be feeling really good here. He's got plenty of Marines back at home. Hero's been slowed down a little bit. Doesn't have the best build going forward. He's on 3 hatch, which is what I really expect from Hero here. He's very much a macro-centric player. He's going to have to throw down double creep colony, though. 2 sunken colonies here at the front. It's going to slow him down even further. Light is extending his lead right now by just forcing out these defensive buildings.
Yeah, this is great from Light because it's a win-win for him. Either we force a lot of defensive response from the Zerg, or we don't get a strong enough defensive response from the Zerg and we punish it a little bit. So this is going to be a win-win for Terrans in these situations, forcing out a few more Lings, forcing out a few Sunkens, making sure the Zerg players playing as honest as possible and not being too greedy, and making sure there's not enough minerals banked up that they can just make a big flood of mutas all at once. So
oh, he's supply blocked. He's supply blocked right now. He can't build any mutas.
This is really bad for Hero.
This is really bad for Hero. He is not going to be able to put on any pressure here right now, and Light's going to be roaming around the map with fire bats and marines. There is a counterattack set up here, so maybe Hero, if Light was being a little bit too aggressive, like comes out on the map with this army, maybe he can run in with the Lings and deal some damage, maybe pick off some turrets, but it looks like Light's just going to sit here in the natural. It's the right call, and there's really nothing Hero can do right now. He's even delayed his turrets by a whole bunch, getting these turrets very, very late. This is going to be just in time now for these mutas, which will be popping out here soon. This is crazy, man. Actually, I don't know. What did Hero do here? He hasn't produced a single muta. Did he just go into drone production, realizing that he wasn't going to be able to hit this muta timing?
Yeah, he basically did that. If you notice, his gas hasn't really changed a whole bunch. He just essentially just pumped out a round of drones. So he kind of like faked out Light into thinking he would eventually... Because the Light metagamed him by delaying his turrets to 6 minutes 20, which was the absolute like latest he can kind of really realistically delay his turrets, which was smart. But Hero said, well, okay, I'm going to delay my mutas by a big margin. So yeah, kind of Hero doing a little bit of a metagame there to try and catch up in the economic curve, but now doesn't have any map control because of these delayed mutalisks. So Light now going to be taking the center of the map and putting on a little bit of pressure, making it really difficult for Hero to take a safe third base right now. So there is a little bit of tactical advantage for Light going forward, denying this third base from going online and keeping a bit of map control here.
Emergency Sunken's coming down here in the natural. There's quite a few mutas out now. He's going to be able to force this back a little bit. But I think that that Hero is just focused right now on staying alive. He is probably going to take his third base in the back natural. Try to take that base that's kind of behind the natural there. Just build up a bunch of sunken colonies and maybe go into Hydralisk Defiler play. Maybe go into a Crazy Zerg. I'm not sure just yet. I haven't seen an Evo Chamber or a Hydralisk Den yet. A lot of mutas are popping out here. Maybe he's just going to try and dive the main, but there are so many turrets over here in the natural. So many turrets defending right now. Light, he can't break through the natural. He's going to eat a lot of pressure here, but I don't know if you can crack through all these turrets and still get damage here as Hero. Comes in, he kills off one turret. He's gonna go to work on the next, but yeah, this is a difficult play from Hero here. He's gonna get some SCVs now, and he's gonna probably force the Marines to engage into the natural. Actually, he looks at the natural. He sees, what is this? 7 sunken colonies? No way you're gonna break through there.
Yeah, I actually think Hero can find a lot of damage here, purely because it's so hard for Light to get his Marines in position to defend against the mutas while they're harassing at the back of the mineral line like this. It's really tough, actually. You can get kind of free shots almost off on there and then rotate around into the main base. He's going to delay the starports from going up as well and getting on top of the turrets in the main base, as well is Hero doing a lot of damage, but having to swing out, make sure he doesn't lose too much HP on these mutas. A lot of them are softened up, and there is an armory there, so it might be wanting to make some Valkyries for much faster timing rather than having to wait for the vessels. Just getting those Valkyries out might be a nice little tactical play here for Light to get a 10-minute timing rather than 11-minute timing, and having that earlier point defense and warding away these mutalisks would be important for him to make sure that Hero can't just keep getting infinite value by harassing him over and over again. He can't afford to keep losing SCVs in this natural expansion like this.
Oh, we haven't seen the third gas come up here for Hero yet. He's not throwing down a hatchery there at that back third. Just kind of pressuring here with the mutas. Coming into the main once again. He's going to kill these turrets very, very quickly. He's got the +1 and 11 mutas, so he's going to kill off some SCVs and back away once again. Coming up towards the front here. Is Light really going to try to break through here? That is so many sunken colonies. He's going to go for it, actually. Running straight up here onto this. I think this is a mistake. So many Marines are going to go down right now, but a reinforcement wave comes forward, and actually the first 3 sunken colonies do go down. Mutas are making their way back here. Hydras have popped out as well, but they're not quite ready to morph into lurkers, and all the sunken colonies are going to be killed. I can't believe this. Light is breaking through, but mutas have arrived now. Mutas are probably going to be able to clear out these Marines, although he may end up losing quite a few of them for that trade. Look at that. Crazy, crazy Light just busting through this, and now he's bringing up the Valkyrie just in time to maybe finish this off. Although there's only 3 Marines left. He's going to dive on top of the last few Marines. No, 2 Marines still survive, and another wave of Marines is making its way up here. Lurkers are going to be morphed, but all the drones are going to end up going down. Plus, Overlords are being picked off right now, so it looks like Light has just barely managed to break this.
Wow, Light's done it, I think. The Valkyrie's acting as point defense here, denying any value from these Mutalisks, and now going to be harassing the Overlords. A GG finally called from Hero. Has to tap out there. Unfortunately for him, not able to weather the storm from Light. Well, Light's playing so on fire today. I'm kind of worried for the Zerg lineup here. I'm not sure even who they would want to res at this point as well, unless Queen has a stellar game and then they'll want to res him. But yeah, I'm not even sure I would want to res Sober at this point of his performance. So I'm kind of scared for the Zergs here. So
yeah, the Zerg lineup is looking a little flimsy now, with Light just trashing through everybody, smashing this lineup so thoroughly here. It felt like there was almost nothing that that Hero could do there from start to finish. He controlled that game. Maybe that was partially just the map there, La Campanea, with that Marine being able to hop over the mineral patches. It's so powerful, so strong, so hard to deal with. Really handled pretty decently by a Hero, but still he ended up in a bad position, and Light just controlled him from then on. This is crazy. I think maybe Solki actually would be the one to bring out. He played a really great game against Light on Neosylphid. I think he could potentially take him down on another map, but we'll see who gets res here after Queen comes out. If he gets taken out by Light, that would be crazy. We've still got a full lineup here for Terran. Only Royal has been eliminated, so let's go on to our next game. Okay, Queen coming out here on Invader. Spawning down here in the bottom right. Light in the top left. This is a tough map for Zerg, man. Like, I don't know if that stat's real down there in the bottom right, or if that's just for KCM or what it is, but 85% win rate for Terran on this map's pretty nasty. I know it's not a lot of games, not a big sample size, but that still seems pretty OP.
I think it's maybe indicative of the fact that late game looks a bit complicated for Zerg on this map, and very difficult to navigate maybe. I'm sure there's a way of playing on it that Zerg could figure out, but honestly, you might just figure out more ways of exploiting the Zerg as well. So yeah, the map looks a bit strange for Zerg, I would say. I don't know how I would navigate this map very efficiently. You do kind of maybe think about taking these corner expansions, but also just feel like the Terran can just like box you out and start controlling these lanes and taking center control and doing mech switches, and it just seems to be a lot that Terran can do and not a lot Zerg can do, but I could be mistaken about that. But like the same was saying, very small sample size for those games. I think it was 5 wins, 1 loss, if those stats were correct. So 83.33% for Terran favored. So that's kind of scary, honestly, just Queen remaining and having to all kill Sark, Light, and Rush. Probably not going to happen, so we're going to see a res later as well. But oh, look at this. Okay, going to be seeing a 13 CC from Light, going to be super greedy and maybe opening the option for Queen to take a 3rd hatchery before pool, but is going to be rushing for sort of more of a 2-hatch style, so not going to be seeing that.
Yeah, pool's already down here, and I don't know, man. From Queen's point of view on this map, you're not feeling good. Like, the win rate is not there, and you know, we've already got this command center down for Light. You're gonna be feeling pretty bad right here. I don't know what we're actually gonna see from Queen. Like, what is he gonna bring out against this? Because no matter what it is, I think it's gonna be kind of overpowered by this early game economic engine of Light on this map. I think that potentially Hydraless Defiler could be strong, because you can take if you look the natural here, and then the base just above the natural, which has a high ground and a small ramp, so you can defend with Lurker. You can kind of get into 3 base, but you just can't take an easy 4th base here. Maybe the bottom left would be the choice, because there is that bit of a ramp, and it's very far away from any building or any position for the Terran. It's like really far out of the way. In order to attack that location, you really need to send forces a long distance down there. So maybe that's the plan here for Queen, but he's going to be starting from a deficit. It's not a good position. Bunkers up here. Naturals being really defended well by Light, and these Lings are not going to get any damage here.
The idea was put on some sort of 2-hatch all-in Ling pressure or semi-all-in pressure, but unfortunately isn't able to fully commit to that, and also will be repelled quite nicely by this bunker. Although going to be setting up with the Lings behind the mineral fields to be a little bit annoying, can actually attack one of the SCVs from this position. Being a little bit annoying is Queen here, but he's still not finding too much damage. Going to be pulling off 2 SCVs from the line, basically. Now goes for the pounce on the SCVs to try and reduce some of their numbers. Does get 3 additional kills, maybe a 4th here. So if he can get this 4th SCV, it's actually pretty nice kill. Gets the 5th as well. 5 SCP kills for those Lings is actually a really big deal. That's a really great trade for Queen.
5 SCVs, not bad at all, but these Marines are going to move out on the map. You know, if Queen was to make a follow-up set of Lings and actually kill this Marine force, he could be in a really good spot here. But I have the feeling he's just going to try to drone up, and without a sunken colony or anything at the front, he might end up taking damage to this. Light is checking out the main with the SCV. He sees some Lings are popping out here. He may just abandon this attack, fall back to the natural here, and keep these Marines alive. And I think that's the right call. Oh my god, he's actually pushing forward. Is he going to push forward? A 3rd base is going to come up on high ground here for Queen. He spots those Marines coming forward, and I think he's just going to produce a wave of Lings here and just probably crush these Marines. This could be really good for Queen here.
It's going to be a small timing. Maybe just barely gets in here quick enough to kill a few of these drones, but good evacuation timing from Queen. Going to deny any damage from occurring, and then should have, like you say, those Lings hatching out momentarily to clean this up. But at the moment, the hatchery's being targeted down. The Lings instead running out to intercept some of the reinforcing Marines. Going to be catching those 2 Marines that are being supported by those 2 medics. Denying the medics getting down here is kind of crucial, but he also needs to make sure he can clean up these bioforce just before he kills the hatchery. Now here comes the 6 Lings diving on top of those Marines to buy a little bit of time. Doesn't get any kills though, and Light's gonna kill the hatchery, Saiyan.
Oh my god, the hatchery going down there. These Marines gonna kill the sunken colony as well. The drones are being pulled off the line, but we've got fire bats here to finish things off. Wow, Light God mode here in the finals of KCM, killing Queen as well, and taking out the entire Zerg squad. Unreal performance here from Light. Done so well. And we've only got 1 revive for Zerg. Who are they going to bring back? It's got to be Soul Key, right? We're going to find out here very soon. I was right. Soul Key is going to be the revived player here for the Zerg squad. Definitely showed some incredible play against Light in, what was that, game number 3? So he's going to be out here on a Dark Origin, trying to redeem these Zergs. This could be the last game of the night, guys, if Sulky gets eliminated here. Or will he be able to make the comeback? We're going to find out right now. A wall-in at the front? Really? Like a wall at the top of the ramp.
He could be making the command center on the ramp here. It could be a 13cc, but wants to make it on the ramp. Maybe. I'm not certain about that, but it's possible. He could also be going for some sort of 2-port Wraith, 1-1-1 Vulture drop build. There's a few things he could do with this sort of wall-in play, but look at this really early drone scout. Wants to make sure there's no 8 racks kind of shenanigans, and maybe punish that as well if it was the case. So I like this this early drone scout on this map. It really does work so well and kind of forces the Terran into a weird position where they either go for super early barracks or not. And look at this barracks placement from Light here. I really think this is interesting because I think he might even the fact that he's concealing this will really confuse Sulky, because he might think that there's a barracks out on the map really far, so he might be worried about a bunker rush still now.
Yeah, that's interesting. Is he gonna come down here? Oh god, he's so smart. He's gonna come down here and see this. That's crazy. That was such an interesting play there from Light, hiding that barracks, but it's gonna be spotted, and that is huge news here for Solkey. Solkey, his chances are looking pretty good now that he's completely revealed this build.
Yeah, this is actually, now that he's identified this, he will be able to navigate it a lot smoother. There'll be less surprises for him to worry about, and he won't have to worry about any kind of like potential shenanigans really early game that he needs to pull drones for or anything like that. He's going to be much more comfortable now going forward and understand, oh, okay, there's going to be this early factory, and that's all I need to account for here. But right now, I would still say that this is maybe slightly light favored, because I feel like this map can be very tricky for Zerg with the way these bridges operate. So right now I still kind of worry for Solkey, but if anyone can do it, it's him at the moment. The other Zergs have not been performing too well today, Hero, Queen, and Soma, unfortunately, but the likes of Solkey did show us a little bit of life, a little bit of hope, taking down Royal. Now going to be trying to take on Light and see if he can snuff him out. So far doing a pretty good job of it. Is navigating this early game fairly well, identified the build correctly. Now a little bit of pressure from like this Marine and SCV, trying to see if they can get anything done by killing a drone maybe, but with the pair of links made, it's going to be shutting this down nicely.
Yeah, that Marine's not going to get any damage. Some nice micro there from Light, but not good enough. Two links beat a Marine every single time, so maybe picking off a ling there would be the best case scenario, but he wasn't going to get any damage. And Solkey, he's going to grab a sunken colony here at the front. There's still a wide open kind of natural area here. Oh, blocking the ramp with the drone, making sure that the SCV can't get in there. A command center being built down here on low ground. That's interesting. Why is he building those buildings down there? I guess it's a little bit quicker to float out to the natural from that location. It's just a little bit funny. Having that built outside the wall where lings could run by and get down there and potentially stop that from building, that would be a little bit rough for Light. But he's gonna try and hop this vulture over. It's been completely spotted here by Solkey. I really feel like Solkey's just on top of everything. He knows everything that's happening. He sees all the different kind of strange, weird plays here from Light, and he's just able to counter everything perfectly.
Yeah, he's so far responding absolutely flawlessly. Even replacing the two lings at the ramp with the one Hydra to shut that down. He's min-maxing to the absolute T right now is Solkey. I'm really impressed by him. I do like that he's building the command center back here tucked away, so it's not only hidden but also able to float maybe a little bit quicker, like you say. But yeah, it still doesn't make total sense. But I still think it's a small optimization. I do kind of agree with it at this level of play. You need to kind of do these weird things, and just barely getting this bunker up in time is Light with the SCVs ready to repair if needed. There's a small window here where there could be a Hydralisk flood where the Zerg player tries to bust open the Terran player before they can stabilize. We do see a few units moving across the center of the map now, chasing down that SCV scout, but unlikely to go for a huge pressure play with a mass swarm of Hydras is Solkey for the time being, I don't think.
Yeah, you can still really threaten the Terran player though with this. You know, he sees a bunch of Hydras coming up here, and you just don't know if there's like another wave coming up right behind this. So you really do have to prepare quite heavily. You might have to pull SCVs and just kind of surround that bunker and wait. He's setting out another SCV, so you can just see how strong Light is by his persistence in trying to scout over and over again. He needs to know what's coming here from Solkey, so he's continuously trying to get this scout out, but it looks like it's going to be captured by Solkey. He's got Hydras moving around this side. He's got some damage on that SCV already, so he should be able to deny that from getting any more scouting information. But just the fact that these Hydras aren't running towards his natural right now is good information for Light.
Right. I mean, he could still have lots of Hydras hidden out on the map. That's why you see this follow-up SCV scout, because he's not just going to only get into the main base to confirm exactly what's going on, if there's any other units on the way, but he can also check for the third base timing now. So really being persistent with this scouting is crucial for the Terran player to navigate and make sure they're optimizing their response as much as possible, because the beautiful thing about Terran is, yes, they're so rigid in what you can and can't do. They have the least options out of all three races races, but if you know exactly what your opponent is doing, you can optimize so well out of those 3 races in comparatively speaking. So with full information, Terran is basically the master race. The only issue is that lack of intel that you have to account for. You can compensate for that by constantly SCV scouting and using your comsat stations, which is basically like a map hack, but you obviously can't have a perfect information unless you're someone like Flash that has like the game sense of a god.
What's the counter here from Sulky? Are we going to see queens come out from him? Is he just going to go mass muta here? That is also a possibility. Tons of Goliaths are being pumped out right now for light, so you know, muta probably not the best call, but you can still get some damage done here. You can still, you know, pick away at some of these SCVs in the main and natural. You can get into that carapace and kind of mass up on those mutas, try to take fights with the Terran, but really the late game is going to be those queens. We've got the 3rd base coming up here for Sulky. Perfect defense here for light. Not going to get any damage done with these mutas. I wonder if he's going to be questioning the decision here to go for that instead of just, you know, taking more hatches, getting more drones out here a little earlier and really getting into those upgrades. That's what's really going to matter here when this Goliath play does come out. Now, we really need to see light, or excuse me, Sulky get in here and find out what light is up to. Is he actually going to be building into upgrade mech? Is he going to be getting a starport and a science facility? That's a completely different scenario than if he's just gonna grab a whole bunch of factories and try to do a timing attack with +1.
Right, basically, if it was like 5-fact Goliath, like it looks like it is gonna be now, he can still just stay on pure Mutalisk because there won't be heavy upgrades. If it was double armory, he'd want to be switching out of Mutalisk straight into Hydras and Queens as soon as possible. So now that we see the full 5-factory Goliath play, though, you might want to stay on Mutas for a little bit long. Coming into the main base with these Mutas now, going to be taking out some of these building SCVs, slowing down production of these supply depots and barracks, but not really getting a whole lot for his efforts and taking a lot of damage on those Mutas and losing a couple, so not ideal for Sulky there, but does mainly confirm the tech pattern of light is the most important thing about that. So happy to trade a little bit of life of those mutas for that information. It's quite crucial now that he can decide, okay, now I'm going to decide I want to switch into Hydralisks here because I don't think I can get a big enough Mutalisk count to counter this huge swarm of Goliaths.
I'm a little surprised he's taking a 4th base right now. I love the burrow play. Having the burrow there is hugely important. Like, you're going to see the exact move out timing. You're going to see how many tanks are in this army. You're gonna see the number of Goliaths as well. So, you know, he's just gonna pop out a ton of Hydras here and try to maybe target down that tank with the mutas as quickly as possible, and then just take the fight with the Hydra. We've got +1 finished here for light. He's backing away now, though. I'm feeling like he might be wanting to wait for that +1 armor as well before hitting this huge timing attack. But it's going to be coming here soon. The timing attack is on the way. He's not added on a starport here yet, so without the starport, there is no longevity for this mech play. You need to get something done here. You need to kill a base. You need to end the game with this big timing attack here when that +1 armor finishes.
Right, the Zerg is just in survival mode against this style of mech, and is basically going to just slowly ramp up there in their own production capability while the Terran falls more and more behind without that tech advantage of going for the early starport. So right now the Terran is basically on a clock, whereas if the Terran had gone for a science facility early or starports early, they would be putting the Zerg on a clock right now. But look at this positioning from Sulky as well, coming in behind, slowing down the advance potentially, but it looks like Light's just going to ignore that play from Sulky and instead just going to be putting on his own counter attack, trying to wall off in the natural expansion, buying as much time as possible while the Hydras rip apart the wall, and now Sulky desperately trying to defend with these few sunken colonies and a few additional rallied Hydras and Mutas, now going to be turning his army back home while Light tries to set up on the other side of the bridge. Now this is a tough position to crack. He has to come across the bridges to get on top of these tanks now.
Yeah, this is dangerous here. I love the counterattack play from Sulky to try and break into the natural while Light is pushing out. It's a great way to deal with this type of attack from Light, but now that he's across these bridges, then we're gonna see it right here, right now. He's gonna try and break. He's running across most of his Hydras across the bridges immediately, then targeting down the tanks, and now surrounding this army completely. This is an amazing surround from Sulky, he just managed to get the forces out in time, slow down Light enough to break him here. That was incredibly well done there by Sulky. Overwhelming this mech play. Even with the +1/+1, it's not going to be enough. Everything's going to die here, and this is going to be it. GG, man. No coming back from this type of play. After losing all of those tanks and Goliaths, Light's going to tap out, and we're going to go on to another game. Thank God, Shin. Thank God, Sulky.
I'm so excited right now. Sulky's a god, man. Such good execution on that. I'm so flabbergasted that you did that so perfectly. It's so hard to do. It's like versus mech, it's so do or die, all or nothing, and he's showing us that he's prepared to go all in and cash in his chips at the end of the day. Let's go on to the next game.
Yeah, Sulky. Thank God for Sulky, man. Giving us an extended matchup here. I was so afraid that this was going to just end with Light ripping through the whole squad, but Light got a little fancy there in that last game. He tried to go for a mech build kind of out of his wheelhouse. He doesn't really go for mech very often and ends up getting punished pretty severely there. I didn't look close with that Hydralisk surround, completely destroying that army. And now we've got Rush here on Apocalypse to try and close things out for the Terran squad. But personally, I'm hoping that Sulky can bring us all the way to a final game.
Oh, me too. I want Sulky to go all the way, but if he does go all the way, then he's going to have to face against the Light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, the Terran tunnel. I'm sure that he's going to be revived there at the end. He's played so well today. Light definitely going to be that final boss at the end here if Sulky manages to run through this squad. Now, we've got a 12 hatch here coming out of Sulky. He's going to get the scout going right away here with the Overlord as well. He sees exactly where Rush is. He's going to be able to get over top of that wall. So things are looking good here for Sulky so far. He's got the optimal build here, and he's got full scouting information. So that's a good sign for our Zergs right now.
Oh yeah, if you could choose a game state for Sulky out of a bag, he would choose this every time. He'd be very happy with this game state, playing it over and over again. This is more or less what he wants to face. He wants to go 12 hatch and get away with it, and which is what is going to happen. And he also doesn't want the Terran to get away with his own greed of going 14cc or what have you. So this works out perfectly for Sulky, and going to be doing a good job of mineral optimizing his way to a very early small economic lead that he will then try and ramp up quite rapidly. He's so good as a macro player at just getting these small tiny economic edges and then finding his way into a huge amount of Mutalisks and Links in the mid game to swallow up these Terran armies, and it's what he does best and what he's known for and what we like to watch as well. And if anyone can do it, it's Sulky. He's gonna maybe have a chance here at taking it all the way. He's got Rush and then Sark and then Light again to face in the final boss battle if he does go all the way. But if anyone can do it, it's him.
Sulky here getting a little bit of harassment from the Marine coming forward, trying to get a drone, but looks like he'll just have to back away for now. Not making the same mistake as last game, losing that first drone, or not making the same mistake as Light did in that last game, losing the first Marine there. Just going to put on that pressure as the Lings pop out. They're going to chase this SCV and also force the Marine to head back home, setting up the Marines to the front here. I really like this for Rush. This is a play that we see a lot from players like Fantasy. Fantasy actually does this every single game, where he keeps the SCV alive in the main. Oh, he's actually going to lose that. Ooh, nice moving shot there. Oh, Overlord might go down though. Overlord just barely gonna survive. Oh, that was very, very important that stays alive with just 11 HP. Keeping that as a factor here. Gonna continue to scout, give that scouting information, and also not lead to a supply block here for Sulky, which could have been critical damage. You know, slowing down his drone saturation here as he goes into that 3-hatch play, but he keeps that alive. He sees that the Marines are here at the front now. He actually produced quite a few Lings, maybe in a bit of a panic. I'm not sure about that, but Lings are actually out here on the map, and we're just going to see a normal game from Sulky from here.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's happier for it. It's exactly what he wants. Nothing shady, nothing to worry about, and keeping the Terran in line and where he wants him, while he gets into his macro phase of the game. So everything's going to be all smiles and rainbows for Sulky for the time being. For the time being, until Light finds a way of coming out on the map with a little bit of pressure and forcing Sulky into some uncomfortable positions. Maybe he'll be forcing a little bit of a sunken colony response now as he moves out into the map with this 7 Marine medic combo. Putting on a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, can't move out too far though. Rush needs to stay at home here in the wall because there are more lings behind this that could run by into the main and deal some damage, maybe pick off an SCV or two that may be building a turret, make this Mutalisk timing a little bit stronger. Sulky here about to start his Mutalisk production. We should have the turrets popping up here soon. We have comsats on the way. He's going to get that full information, that full scout of the Zerg main, find out that it is indeed Mutas, and start those turrets here soon. And where do you think that Sulky's going to take this third base out on the map? Is it going to be at that bottom center, or will he try to take the bottom right, maybe take the main?
I think either the bottom right main. I would personally like to take the bottom right natural and try and be greedy and transition that into a 3/4 gas, but against someone of Rush's caliber, probably not the smartest of plays. So yeah, I would say maybe the bottom right main probably be the safest play here, but I'm not sure if that's optimal on this map for sure.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Sulky overwhelm Rush right now. Rush very, very strong with his Marine medic control, especially in these early game situations. And his macro seems to be on point right now, so he's going to start to push forward here with his Marine medic, just preventing the run-bys here as well, threatening that run-by. Very, very good moves from Sulky as he continues to pump up this Mutalisk count. Back at home, do we have a factory here just yet, or is he still putting on barracks? Looks like we're going to have a run-by into the main base. That factory is just above the screen here. He may be able to delay that by killing off this SCV. No, he's going to back away now with these mutas. Runs over top of this natural here, but all the Marines are gone. They're actually heading straight towards the natural of Sulky and going to put on that pressure. We've got 3 emergency sunkens being thrown down. Looks like they're just going to come out in time. Nice catch! These mutas flying across the map to reinforce are going to get picked off. That was a nice move there from Rush, and he's going to have to deal with some more damage here in the natural. Still attacking here is Sulky, keeping that pressure on while building sunkens back at home.
Yeah, doing absolutely fantastic right now, Sulky, and kind of really calling Rush's bluff as well. Like, Rush was like really adamant about going across the map, and it was really interesting. It was like a double bluff calling from both players. Rush kind of bluffed the attack, Sulky called it, and Sulky also bluffed back as well. That I'm really impressed by Sulky's like temperament and composure here in this game, because it is a very dire situation. One small mistake and he's done for, and his whole team is just out of the finals. So every moment counts here for Sulky, so he's going to have to play in his flow state and really try and combat anything that the Terrans can throw at him. Right now, Rush is doing a good job of tightening up and building more and more turrets, weathering the storm against these Mutalisk while denying the third base from going up. So it is a little bit of a dire situation that Sulky hasn't yet got this third base underway, but we'll be wanting to set that up soon, I think.
Yeah, that third base should be coming down here pretty soon. It's not the worst thing in the world here to have a bit of a later third. You're going to have some great production here with the 3-hatch build here. If you were just going 2-hatch right now, you'd really be suffering right now as Sulky, not having that third base up and running. But right now, he's able to put on a lot of pressure with the Mutalisk. He's got quite a bit of defense back at home. And as Rush is forced out on the map here, he's going to put on that pressure to kind of get these Mutalisk out of his face. There is an opportunity for Sulky to kind of surround here with Lings and Mutas and pick off this army, and that would give him a huge advantage in this game. The Marine medic force is looking very strong, though. That's a lot of Marines. They have the +1. They have quite a sufficient number of medics as well. So it will be very difficult to pick this off, especially with Rush moving back home now as the pressure gets relieved at that natural.
The one thing we got going for us as Sulky is there's only like 4 medics here with this force, so it is a little bit light on medics, but there is so many bio units here that we need a big flood of Mutaling to be able to swallow it up whole. Looks like Sulky's like got his Lings in position to go for that, but right now the other mutas are elsewhere, so he's not going to be able to get that maneuver off. Instead, going to be taking down some of these naked Marines in the Terran production line, try to be as annoying as possible to like. Without medic support, these Marines are very vulnerable, so that's why we like to be very careful in these situations and just hug your turrets as much as possible and just pray that the Zerg doesn't have enough of a flock to come in there and just ruin your day. But he's going to be also having these Valkyries coming out now, affording him a 10-minute push timing for point defense to help ward away these mutas. But right now, Sulky's setting up a pincer maneuver on these bio units. He wants to swallow them up, but he doesn't feel like maybe he has quite enough to do so. So maybe instead he'll be trying to intercept the rest of the Terran forces. But I think this is going to be in Russia's favor if he can join these armies in some way, shape, or form. Sulky needs to deal with these forces in piecemeal, one at a time, rather than letting them join right now. It's really bad news for him if Russ can get this whole army together.
Yeah, the whole army is going to get together here, and it's very painful right now for Sulky, but he gets some lurkers down at the bottom right, and he has lurkers here at the natural, so I guess he holds on for now. These Valkyries are not going to be very good at helping him to break through this lurker line here, so we'll have to see a transition now from Rush, and with 3 bases, Sulky has secured his future, at least for the time being here.
Yeah, and there is only 4 barracks. This is enough for Rush to come out on the map over and over again, but with only 4 barracks right now, there isn't too much of a chance of him breaking these lurker formations. He's just going to be playing a more of a standard game. But this big counter-attack could spell disaster for either player right now, as these mutalings maybe get boxed in. He's getting so much free damage on these mutas. It can go so badly for Sulky so quickly if he's not careful. The Ling's also getting body blocked a little bit and cleaned up by these bioforces. Bleed off quite a significant portion of his forces there for free is Sulky. Unfortunately for him, losing a little bit too much there, but still doing okay in supply. 90 to 109, not the end of the world here. Ooh, the caster going into low graphics, saying that accidentally for a moment. You see a lot of forces moving across to the southeast to take out this natural expansion. This is where I would have taken one of my expansions if I wasn't confident about this natural expansion area. I think this is the other option here, this like little tucked away little pocket base here, very easy to defend with lurkers. So I kind of like this play from Sulky taking this expansion. It's very easy for him to defend this, but the choke point is actually wide enough that you can still come in here as Terran, which is why we see so many lurkers committed to this position. But it's like Rush is going to go for it anyway, just diving on top of this.
No way, he just crushed that. Are you kidding me? That number of lurkers, 5 lurkers getting just blasted down here, but the lurkers here popping out of the Nidus are gonna do quite a bit of work, and some Lings managed to pop out as well. So with this number of lurkers, maybe he can just barely hold on to this position, but that was crazy from Rush. Really wild. I wonder if there was a better like spread that Sulky could have had there to make that a little bit more defendable, but it felt like it was just unbreakable there. I can't believe Rush actually had the balls to try and try and rush through there. That was crazy.
Yeah, honestly, like one thing that made that work was that there's no range upgrade, so it's 3 shots to kill these Marines, and Rush knows that. So having the beautiful spread on the bio does give you just barely enough time to crush through these positions. If you have the spread set up and you execute flawlessly, you can do the unthinkable and break open these positions. But look at Rush going for it again. There is some Scourge to try and ward away these vessels and snipe that Valkyrie, but now the orange clouds of death have already started to become used for the Zerg player. Now becomes a very untenable position for the Terran going forward to maintain any kind of hope at breaking through here about big counts of science vessels just raining down irradiates on these forces. 2-1 upgrades for Rush coming down forward with more and more Terran infantry units trying to reinforce these positions that he can now start to launch sieges from, and trying to put on pressure onto Sulky by irradiating anything he can and trying to get as much value as possible. But it's still a bit of a situation that he doesn't want to be in, because right now I would say it's slightly Sulky favored with how he's been able to get away with this 3rd base without taking too much damage here.
It's a scary moment there for Sulky, but he did manage to hang on. He's gonna get into his upgrades now. He's got his macro hatches in the main rolling as well. Gonna lose quite a few mutas over here. It is nice to keep those alive, as we saw before in his game versus Light that can be very useful in picking off plagued vessels later on and also stopping drops. He's got a beautiful setup here in the main for anti-dropship play. Lots of lurkers here at the natural as well. A defiler popping out, so you know, no area that can actually be broken through at the moment, and maybe Sulky can push forward here and take this 4th gas. That would be a huge moment. He's already coming out here, pushing all of these Marines and medics back. There's the first plague of the game, getting one of these vessels and quite a few Marines as well. Not bad at all. And things are starting to look up here for Sulky as Rush moves to take a 3rd base as well and really pump up this army. He's adding on more factories. He's going to start to... Well, actually, this is a factory... That's right, he lost the factory, so he is going to have to rebuild that factory and maybe start to produce some tanks here, maybe even go double factory, because this is going to become a bit difficult here when the 4th base comes up.
Yeah, if Sulky can secure this 4th gas, it's going to be great for him. He does need to keep production of the Defilers non-stop and Dark Swarming over and over again to make sure he never gets broken here. And there is a possibility that there will be enough pressure from Rush that he will force a mistake and he will come in here and break open one of these expansions. But as long as Sulky doesn't make any of those errors, he's looking pretty well positioned to take this game. And in response to that, Rush is going to double expand and get 2 gas bases up right away to try and keep up with that production line. But it still is great news for Sulky coming out, putting on more pressure and keeping as much space for him to maneuver as possible. He needs to keep these lanes open so he can keep this base coming up at 6 o'clock as safe as possible. He needs to be able to keep getting units over here to this right side. So many Marines going down right now to these lurkers positioned underneath this Dark Swarm. There's a nice big clump of science vessels just begging to be plagued as well. Sulky might be wanting to do that shortly. Right now at 100 supply to 150 of Rush. 2-1 upgrades for Terran. Only just now starting to get these gases online, but now that he does have this additional gas available to him, we'll be able to make some more additional high tier units. Lots of fire bats also in production. Once they get underneath these Dark Swarms and really fight tooth and nail with Sulky here.
Yeah, there's a very low number of defensive units here, a scant defense, so if Rush can pop out enough fire bats to fight under the Dark Swarm and break through a position, he might be able to shut down this 4th base. And if he shuts down the 4th base, he's going to be in such a good position here, dropping more Dark Swarms. A lot of Hydras coming out here. We're just going to see Hydra Defiler. It's starting to look like that. I think we have Hydralisk upgrades finished as well, right?
Right. We definitely will be seeing the Hydralisk style of play here. And right now, the fire bats will be doing very well against these Hydralisk composition for the time being if he wants to come in here soon. So he can have his work cut out for him. He also needs to be really careful not to get these big clumped of bar units played, because just one good play can spell disaster for Rush here. So he wants to be keeping his army as back as possible. That's why we see him kind of shying away a little bit while these dropships come in. He's both shielding the dropships to make sure they can come in for free, but right now also denying any kind of good plays. But oh, look at this though. Sulky's ready, got Mutalisk and Scourge waiting in the wings to shut this down. Going to be cleaning this up pretty cost efficiently, it seems, although maybe not as good as catching these drops with the Scourge initially, but did a really good job of cleaning that up nicely with minimal losses, and also shutting down some of these science vessels. Barely not going to be saving this Defiler, but might be able to catch this science vessel for his efforts if he's quick enough. Does get the kill on that as well, so thinning out the herd on these science vessels, reducing that count is really important. Keeping the fleet size of those is so crucial in this matchup, reducing the amount of irradiates available to the Terran so that you can deny them that infinite value. But right now, Rush coming out ahead on supply, 174 to 118. Sulky, though, still healthy on these 4 bases and looking strong.
Yeah, we're going to have a huge tank transition here for Rush. I don't think we're going to leave Marine production completely, but we're going to have so many tanks here coming out of these 3 factories soon. He's going to take that huge high ground just outside of his natural and 3rd base and hold that area with a massive number of tanks. He's also taking the base up there at the 12 o'clock. He's shoving back all of these Hydralisk Defiler forces, and although we've got 4 gases on the way, Rush has secured his future. He's got the late game set up here for, you know, to give himself a good chance of winning here. We're gonna have some Lings coming up towards the top center. No attack upgrades on these Lings though, and the upgrades for Rush are looking very, very good at 3-1. Bringing tanks forward. I don't know if I like him taking the tanks all the way to the front here. I'd love to see him just continue to mass up those tanks on that high ground and just hold that position, because the tanks really don't do very well at low numbers. Their real strength is when they get to that huge, overwhelming number where you can't even approach them with the Hydros Defiler. Looks like some Lings are just slowing down this economy here right now. I don't know what happened to the Marines that were near these bunkers, but apparently they left for a moment. Now they're going to come up there and fill those bunkers, and that base should get back to mining. Rush looking to be in a great position here, though, filling up the center of the map with those tanks.
Right, and you're absolutely correct about the tank situation, saying once you get to like 12 to 20 siege tanks, it just becomes such a crazy like volley of damage you have to weather through just to get close to the tanks, and it becomes just too much to handle. And now we see a little attack from Soki trying to get up onto this position of tanks on the western flank here, seeing if he can snipe some of these critical gas units off. Only gets one for his trouble and losing quite a few units himself, but even just reducing the tank count a little bit here is going to be really big news for Soki. Killing 2-3 tanks here and there is going to be a big deal for him in preventing Rush from getting that critical tank count that we were talking about just now. And this is why this composition is so strong for Zergs, having these Hydralisks and Zerglings, these really cheap units that you can throw at the Terran to take out their more expensive units. And if they do stay bio, then even though they're being cost efficient, they're still not going to have the forces necessary to overwhelm your position. So far Sulky doing a great job of just cracking open Rush like a nut at the moment and taking out more and more tanks with these little tactical plays on the western peninsula. Really impressed by Sulky so far. So
yeah, I'm not feeling as confident anymore for Rush here. He's lost quite a few tanks, just kind of willy-nilly here and there, kind of sending them out in a bit of a strange way here, allowing also not bringing his Marines forward to defend those tanks. He's lost quite a few of them. He's not gotten to that critical mass, and he's losing even more. Look at that. He lost 2 more tanks there on the left-hand side. He's not going to hit this critical mass.
Nope. Not only is he not going to hit that critical mass, saying, but he's actually kind of like Soki did like 2 birds with 1 stone. He also distracted Rush with that little link counterattack, kills a tank, and now has him completely with his pants down as he comes into this expansion area. Doesn't quite get the connection on those SCVs to the lurkers that maybe he'd like to clear up all the SCV train there, but coming in here and being super annoying with these forces, maybe getting the kill on this command center would be huge for him. Anyway, any damage he's doing to Rush is kind of crucial right now, because right now Soki's kind of set up. He's got these 4 bases online. They will start to become mined out shortly, but as long as he can do any damage to Rush right now, he's going to be smiling happy, because Zerg mine out a lot slower than Terran. As we can see, Rush right now, he's mined out in his main, he's mined out in his natural, so he's still got a little bit of life in him for a few more moments now with these bases online. Has 4 bases worth of production just barely, whereas Rush doesn't. Rush has already mined out in 2 of those bases, so shutting down this mining in the top right is actually big news for him. He's taking out a lot of wind in the sails, and that command center is going to burn down at this rate.
Yeah, that command center is going to burn. And Sulky just setting down 1 lurker under Darkstorm is going to hold back a Rush for a little bit here while he takes out the top right-hand corner. That base is critical for Rush right now. He needed to keep that alive, and it looks like it is going to end up going down here. Some Firebats making their way in from the left-hand side, but so many Hydras here to try and help out. He's already got 3-2 upgrades finished, or 2-3, either one. These lurkers going to kill the bunker here. Some vessels going down as well, them being targeted by the Hydras as they fly over. It looks like Rush, desperate rush over here to the top right-hand corner to keep that base alive. Another great plague on top of these vessels. Really nicely done there. Darkstorm should be coming down, but that's so many, oh my gosh, that's so many Firebats. You don't even want a Darkstorm there because the Hydras aren't going to be able to do anything.
Yeah, actually, Darkstorm would be a bit of a deficit to do something like that right now. You probably just want a Plague only when you've got this many Hydras and they've got this many Firebats. Plague is probably the way to go. Kind of a weird situation we find ourselves in. So he could be rotating around to the right-hand side, but put a little bit more pressure on this base. Going to be forcing Rush to respond and coming in to defend this. He needs this base at all costs. Going to be sending these SCVs down to repair this bunker desperately. That's going to be cracked open just barely. See the Terran forces also making a counterattack to this 9 o'clock position, taking out this expansion here. So he's now mined out in his main and his expansion, so it's kind of evened up the playing field with Rush, but needs to be getting this another baseline. This has been shut down in doing so right now. I don't know why he took that base at 9 o'clock. I think he should be taking these bases on the right-hand side. I don't know why he's not feeling confident about holding this vertical axis on the eastern flank here. I feel like Soki should be double expanding over here right now, but isn't choosing not to do so. Instead, he's trying to get the Plague, but it's getting drilled by the SCVs. Does manage to get the Plague down finally, but not the kind of Plague he was hoping for. Couldn't quite close the distance quick enough. enough, unfortunately for him. Is now currently even on supply, more or less 120 to 125. It's actually kind of favoring Sulky in these situations, but the fighters are so weird out in the middle of the map, it can really go badly for Zerg. So Sulky needs to desperately try and mobilize his forces and get close to this expansion on the right-hand side to shut it down.
Yeah, if he shuts down this base over here, it's going to be just about lights out for Rush. Rush, he's stopped Zerg from taking another base for quite some time. We're already at 24 minutes, so the main and natural gas are mined out, but we don't need that much gas, really, truly. As Sulky in this position, having gas is going to be very important, but we don't need that much to produce Hydroling and a Defiler here or there. He clears out that attack as well. He's going to get up here on top of these Marines. He should be able to get a nice plague there. Meanwhile, top right has been overwhelmed. Rush is going to lose that base, and I don't know if Rush has any hope left in this game. He's been kind of shut down. His tanks over and over again have just really not paid for themselves, continuously losing those throughout this game. He does have a fair number here to the left side of the screen, but not what he should be at. He should be at, like you said, like 12 to 20 tanks, but losing them over and over again, he just doesn't have the critical mass. I don't think he can push through any of these positions.
No, he's not going to just barely have enough. He's only got like 5 or so tanks here. It's just not enough. He needs at least 10 to 20 tanks to have any chance of just busting through this cost efficiently, and he's not going to be able to do so. Enough Lings are going to be flooding forward, taking out the front line 2 tanks. There's another couple of lurkers under Darkstorm here, cleaning out the GG called from Rush. Sulky starting to make his way through that tunnel, and he sees the light at the end of it, but he's ready to snuff it out.
Rush. What happened, my man? That final engagement there, kind of the story of this game, moving his tanks too far forward, losing them immediately, and the Marines just don't have the firepower to take out Sulky. So Sulky gonna advance here. Sock is his next opponent. Let's jump into that next game. All right, we're taking this to nearly the final game here. Match number 8. It's gonna be Sock versus Sulky. Sulky nearly just on the edge of making this comeback happen for Zerg. Just has a couple more Terrans to work his way through. Sock is a big obstacle standing in his way right now, though, here on Retro. What is Sock going to pull out? This man has been so creative and innovative in this matchup and in KCM this season.
Yeah, not only that, but with these close spawns on Retro, kind of favor Sark a lot. He can like kind of come down on this vertical axis on the left in a nice tight angle, or make it hard for Mutaling to swallow him up. Or once he is confident with his forces or has lots of tanks in the mid to late game phase, can come out to this big open middle ground area and just take control of that and just overwhelm Sulky here by not allowing him to come out onto the map. So both things could go really Sark's way here, especially with this vertical spawn positions. So I kind of like Sark's chances.
Yeah, I guess I agree with that. I feel like a lot of Zerg players seem to want to expand towards the Terran in this situation and get lurkers on high ground and then try to Defiler push in towards the natural, which can be very strong. But yeah, I'm not sure how this one's gonna go, man. Sock, he is just unpredictable as heck. He's gone for a gas build here, so it's not gonna open up normally whatsoever. We're gonna have something crazy straight off the bat. Whether that's going to be 2-port Wraith, whether it's just going to be Vulture into an expansion, it remains to be seen here, but everything's on the table right now for Sock.
Yeah, you can definitely dictate the game a little bit by doing this. It's just kind of what you're doing as Terran by taking this early gas. You're taking away a lot of that flexibility of the Zerg by forcing the Zerg to have to react to you. Whereas usually when you're going Bio and the Zerg is going Mutalisk, you're kind of reacting to the Zerg and allowing them to kind of dictate the game by going 2-hatch Mutalisks at least, or 2.5 hatch. If you're going straight up 3-hatch Mutalisk, you're then again giving the reins back to the Terran as the Zerg and allowing the Terran to do what they want. But when you're doing this as Terran, you're really saying, no, I want the reins in my hands. I want to take control of the game. I want you to react to me. So this definitely does put Sark in the driver's seat, so to speak. So I like this choice from him.
Yeah, and he's gonna just scout with one SCV here. He's got a nice tight position with the Marine. in between the refinery here and the factory, so he's going to be feeling nice and safe with the vulture popping out here soon. No Ling attack is going to deal any damage to him, and you know, he's going to scout this Zerg player kind of at the very end here. I guess he didn't scout top right. He just sent cross map, and now he's going to check the bottom left. And he will find Sulky here soon, but I know Sulky, he's got his natural up already. He's got a sunken colony in position. He's well defended. Looks like a 1-1-1 build is going to be the choice for Sock.
Yeah, and with this 1-1-1 build choice, there is a small window of choice here from Sulky where he could go for a little bit of a Ling flood and try and go for a 2-hatch all-in Ling play and really catch Sark off guard and overwhelm him, since 1-1-1 is such a flimsy build order with such few units at its disposal to defend against those kind of plays. But we're actually not going to see anything like that from Sulky, most likely. Sulky's not the kind of guy to go for those kinds of plays. It would be the exact reason why he should go for a kind of play like that to catch Sark off guard, but I really doubt he will go for something like this. So unfortunately, we'll probably just see like a transition into a normal 2.5 hatch style into Mutaling in the mid-game phase, and maybe a Valkyrie build from Sark here would be maybe optimal.
Valkyrie build can be strong. It's also possible to go straight up into Science Vessel here, although it can be a little bit difficult to defend because Sulky, if he sniffs out that you're going for a quick vessel, he can just bring, you know, 4 Scourge with his mutas, his initial mutas, and even if you've got a bunch of turrets there, he can just dive on top of that, kill your first vessel, and then things get really, really difficult for the Terran player. One Wraith gonna come across the map here. This is completely normal. We're gonna lose a couple of overlords here, of course, but you know, acceptable losses for Sulky right now.
Acceptable losses, but he's actually going to be doing that 2-port Wraith build that we've seen before, where he kind of gets the expansion after the 1-1-1, then gets the delayed 2-port Wraith. This is the kind of style I really like seeing from before, and it's like Sulky going to try and desperately save some of the lives of these drones by turning them into creep colonies momentarily while he buys time that he can start dealing with these Wraiths. But if he doesn't anticipate these 2-port Wraiths from, he gets the kill on that drone as well. If he gets the Overlord and this other drone, this is, he gets the creep colony again. This is kind of crazy what we're seeing right now. Sulky spending a lot of money trying to keep these drones alive, desperately trying to hang on for dear life for his economy. He's so desperate to maintain any kind of economic prowess in this situation. Doesn't want to lose too many drones. He will not be like being behind in economy. It's one of his biggest strengths is his eco macro play, and having any kind of damage to that really does frustrate him in the early game phases. So right now, though, Sark going to be banking up those Wraiths while getting Cloak, and if Sulky doesn't anticipate this, and he could get overwhelmed very quickly here.
Oh, this is hugely important right now. We're gonna have Cloak finishing up here in a second, and if Sulky moves all the way across the map, doesn't have any overlords out here, this is the closest overlord he has. If he comes in here with his mutas and then the Cloak Wraiths come in and just run down these mutas across the map, he's gonna lose so much. He's gonna lose so much here. Cloak is done. Here we go. He's gonna come flying in. Oh, actually a lot of Lings with this, so he's gonna kill this bunker really, really quickly. There's the Cloak, but the Wraiths actually have to stay here and fight the Lings. They can't actually chase down these mutas here. He would just lose too much. So that's actually a huge moment for Sulky.
I actually kind of like this. Yeah, the Lings kind of force this situation where if you chase the mutas down, you might just lose to the Lings. So the Lings are kind of like an insurance policy. Well, if he does have cloaked Wraiths, then at least I have these Lings here to buy me some time to get the hell out of here. So I really like this play from Sulky.
Yeah, that worked out very, very well. And now Sulky has the big muta count. He can get into Overlord speed here quickly so that he can actually attack the Terran player right now. He doesn't have a third base up just yet, but he's putting on a lot of pressure here. He's forcing out a ton of turrets. We're going to have another bunker coming up. More turrets on the high ground. I actually think Sock needs like 5 more turrets here in the natural. Really, not a joke. He needs so many turrets right now just in order to survive this upcoming attack, which is going to be so nasty. And he doesn't have enough Marines in this bunker either. I think there's 1 Marine in this bunker. There's going to be a ton of Lings, a ton of mutas coming up right away here, and Sock may just break.
Sokka is falling victim to a lot of Terran's mistakes where they have a lot of wraiths, so they feel very safe and confident, but you do need to make sure you've got just barely enough turrets to act as point defense and time-saving devices to not allow you to get overwhelmed too soon. It only has 2 turrets, is getting a third, but now here comes Sulky getting on top of the cloak race. Link's coming in for the surround as well, going to be doing a run by into the main base, getting on top of the turret positions, and now going to get on top of the Terran production. Has some overlords with speed here to clean up the race as well. There is a vessel, but nowhere near having irradiate energy. Going to be another 30 or so seconds before that comes irrelevant. Now only 3 race remaining, getting sniped down to 2 in the main base. Now swinging back around into natural expansion, getting on top of the vessel is Sulky, taking down that vessel. Beautiful play from Sulky. The 53 supply to 46 on top of the Terran production. Now not a situation you want to be in as a Terran player here, saying it's looking bad for Zerg.
Yeah, the Lings did so much work there, picking off the turrets, and now he's going to jump here on top of the turrets in the main, just finishing off those wraiths as well. It was a great move as well, bringing the Lings into the main and forcing the wraiths to respond and then diving upon them as they went through the main base, and actually keeps this last wraith alive. He's going to start to kill some of these overlords, but the mutas are just going to swing back around, finish off that last wraith, kill this last turret, and that should be it. The main is completely broken here. More Lings are going to be rallied forward to finish off that bunker at the front and sort of take the, or just deal the final blow here. Oh, right on top of this vessel as well. He's going to get it? Is he going to get it? Oh my god. Skirts are so dumb. He actually does get it though.
Yeah, even though they're so dumb, he still just barely gets it. Gets on top of the SCV, putting that turret behind the middle line as well. Sulky's done it. Sark says GG. We're at the end of the tunnel. The light is there. Can he snuff it out, saying?
The Terran tunnel was long and dangerous, but Sulky has made it to the end. Light's gonna be brought back. No question in my mind that Light will be revived here. Can he take down Sulky and end his spree here? We're gonna have an amazing rematch on our hands. 1-1 is the score here between Light and Sulky. Who's gonna take it all home for their race? We're about to find out. Yes, the epic conclusion. I'm rubbing my hands together right now in anticipation. Light versus Sulky. The end of this best of 3. Nothing else matters except for this one game here on Apocalypse. Got Sulky at the top center, Light at the bottom right. How is it gonna go here? I cannot wait to find out. Light, I think he's gonna play a little bit more standard here though, after losing that one game versus Sulky earlier when he tried to go mech.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be the wise choice here from Light. And we have seen Light kind of blunder a lot when he does try and go for these like very specific timing attacks that are a bit more unorthodox from his usual wheelhouse of play. So he might want to not take any chances with this. But we are going to be seeing a little bit of a fast barracks being placed down in the wall area. So definitely still wants to wall in and be safe. I can't blame him. If you can wall in, I think you should, as Terran, generally speaking, especially in the modern meta. A lot of Terrans maybe would disagree and say like they like to just play more cookie cutter and just like, you know, play that sort of one racks expand way of thinking and keep always making their barracks in the main base. And I think that this is good for when you're just wanting to be able to play and have fun and not worry too much. But if you really want to get good at the game, I think you have to start thinking about these more optimized ways of playing. Saying, do you not agree?
I feel like the only downside to getting the barracks at the front here and starting the wall initially is that you can die to an early Ling attack, right? If they went for like a 6 pool here, that's like an instant loss, right? Because you just don't have the barracks in your main base can be protected by your SCVs. You know, if you defend your barracks with a bunch of SCVs, they can run by into your main, and then the follow-up Lings can just kill your barracks, like, or kill your marine as it pops out. It's a rough situation, and it would end up getting a loss. But you know, Light, he doesn't really have to worry about that type of thing here coming from Sulky. Sulky doesn't have that reputation, and honestly, I think that would be a disappointment to see someone like Sulky try to go 6 pool here against Light. We're going to see an epic game, I think, pretty much no matter what.
Yeah, we're going to have a fairly epic game. It's going to be at least a mid-game victory for one of these players, maybe even a mid to late game. Hopefully, and a super late game would be an ideal situation when we have like a 30-minute or so game between these two titans of players that are so experienced and like pure in their caliber and their own pedigree. Like as a Zerg and Terran, one of the best in their respective races and one of the most experiences as well. Most experienced players within that pool of players as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to see actually Soulkey bring out the same strategies they did against Rush on this map. I think it was really powerful and it looked very difficult to deal with. But on the side of Light, I want to see him bring out the same build as what Rush did and try to show us how like better control of tanks can, you know, dominate this map. We've got these big high grounds all around that are fantastic for holding the middle of the map in the mid and late game, especially in the very latest stages of the game when you get up to that 3-4 bases count with Terran, when you can really start to pump out the tanks. That feels pretty good, I think, as Terran. So I want to see Light really bring the control here, really bring that style that Rush tried to pull out, kind of failed against Soulkey. And really take us into an epic late game here. Now, Soulkey has gone for that 3-hatch muta play. He's got the Spire down now. He does have to worry about these Marines here coming across the map and actually breaking through the natural. He hasn't thrown down a sunken colony just yet, though. He's got a good view of everything that's coming here from Light. All the Marines and medics that come from the main base are being spotted here. So he knows exactly what Light is capable of at this moment. He's even going to get another Overlord over on that right-hand side. So he is with complete perfect information here, going to be able to counter whatever Light decides to go for.
Yeah, and Light's really respecting the possibility of a 3-hatch all-in Ling here. He stayed in his base for so long with these huge flood of Marines, only just now starting to come out, which means that Soulkey got away with making no sunken for such a long time. No Ling run by as well. These 4 Lings going to be maybe catching one of these SCVs before rotating into the main base. Didn't quite kill that SCV, but it doesn't matter. He's still being super annoying right now while he's morphing in these sunkens. But the Marines of Light might just barely get there in time. The drones are coming off to try and deny this SCV getting too much damage onto these forces, but now Light comes in just as the Sunkens are morphing, maybe able to get the snipe, starts target firing down the Lings, gets those, now goes on to the Sunken. One of the Sunkens goes down, 2 medics healing right now, drones off the line, trying desperately to try and clutch on to any kind of defense, but not able to do so right now. Light looking in a good position, but has to back away, eventually deciding not to commit to killing that Sunken colony there. I felt like he could have buzzed that Sunken there for a second. Maybe he felt like the damage calculation wasn't good enough, even though he would bust through the Sunken, maybe not ending up with enough Marines left over. Bit of a stranger one there. I'm not quite sure how he calculated, like, exactly why that was not a good idea to commit to that there, but maybe there was something he saw that I didn't.
I think he decided to just get more ahead. That was the calculation. Try to win. Instead of trying to win right there, he decided to right-click down as many drones as possible, get rid of those drones, lower that count, and win with a follow-up attack. There's quite a few Mutalisks here, and they're actually getting some great first swipes. Because these Marines don't quite have that range just yet, he's going to get some good kills here, really reduce his bio count, and this is an opportunity for Soulkey to make a comeback here. He loses one of his Mutas, though, and that count has been reduced. He's still got enough to one-shot, but now he doesn't. Okay, still some of these Marines are quite low, and the medic energy is pretty deeply low right now, so he doesn't have enough to actually heal these back up. So actually, Soulkey not the worst. He does manage to clean that up. He can re-drone, and he can get a 3rd base going and take this into a longer game there. It was looking a little bit dire, but you know, he's managed to stabilize here, and he will be getting that 3rd base momentarily.
Yeah, he's squeezing out a few drones right now and resaturating this natural expansion. He's not currently mining gas in his natural, so he's a little bit suboptimal, not banking up the gas that he would like to. Doing a little bit of a pressure play here with the Lynx, trying to snipe this turret and coming in here and taking out a few Marine kills here is Soulkey. Trying to be as annoying as possible, maybe taking out this supply depot for his efforts will be a little bit of an annoyance for Light to have to deal with, but really not too much of a big deal for Light here. He's in a great position against Soulkey. With this 3rd base coming online, if Soulkey is able to maintain map control, with these mutas long enough for the transition, then I would say that we will see a fairly late game here. But there is a window here where there's a bit of vulnerability for Sulky. I fear that he hasn't quite got the muta count that he needs to like be able to dominate Light right now. But he's doing such a good job of just swinging around the main base of Light, taking out SCVs and denying depots being made and supply blocking him momentarily, and being annoying as possible to buy himself as much of a breathing room and comfort to build out these drones, get this third base online, and actually make the tech switch. I think maybe Sulky's in a pretty good spot here, Sam.
You know what's kind of interesting here is that Sulky's decided to take the base that's right outside of his natural, whereas last game he actually went for against Rush, he went for that 4th location as his third base so that he could defend that a little easier with the lurkers, but Rush still managed to break through that. So maybe he's decided, you know what, screw that, I'm just gonna take my third right here, right outside of my natural, and I'm gonna use lurkers and reinforcements to hold that base, rather than trying to hold like this outpost location at the 4th. I don't know if I like this play. I feel like the 4th base location would have been is good enough with just maybe a sunken colony mixed in there as well. He should have been able to hold that, maybe a better spread with the lurkers, but he's decided to change it up completely here and take this 3rd, and that's going to be really hard to hold, I think, against this Marine medic force that's moving out on the map right now.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And we got 2 vessels going to be on the way. The little Ling counterattack in the natural expansion going to be softening up some of these turrets, maybe if he doesn't repair that shortly. And we have two port vessels coming out about 9 minutes right when the hive starts. So the vessels line up with the defilers really nicely. So Light's going to be able to have quite a significant portion of irradiates to fight these mutas to come out onto the map, and then have enough additional irradiates following up to start putting pressure on these lurker positions going forward. So right now, Sulky needs to be very active with his mutaling and keep this bioball just dogged as much as possible, and coming in for small counterattacks and link backstabs to try and really put the pressure on Light here. If he doesn't have a bunker with Marines in it, he needs to keep coming in and putting pressure on Light, and he is doing so, coming in the Lings yet again. There's no bunker in this expansion area, so able to come in here for free with these Lings and cause absolute mayhem in the natural expansion, forcing Light to multitask, but now nothing at the 3rd base for Sulky. All these drones are kind of boxed in and exposed. If Light's paying attention, he can come here and kill so many drones, but instead he's just going to focus down the hatchery. Here come the lurkers to come and clean up all of these bioforces before losing the hatchery, so didn't lose any drones or the hatchery. Best case scenario for Sulky here, saying.
Wow, was that an overstim from Light? His Marines were so low HP, just one volley from all of those mutas just wiped that Marine force clean. That was kind of crazy, actually. Did you see how low those were?
Right, yeah.
Marines didn't have any HP. He just flew in, killed them all, and then he's barely held on here, but barely holding on is actually better than not being attacked at all, right? If you just barely manage to stop the Marines from breaking you, you're going to be in a better position than if they didn't try to break you in the first place. So Sulky here, he's just held on by the skin of his teeth. He's still got lurkers out on the map. He's got some Scourge here. He's going to look for some snipes. Getting the first couple snipes on the first couple of Science Vessels here is a possibility right now. If he tries to run forward with all of his lurkers and lings and mutas, try to snipe those, that could be a big win here for Sulky. He's adding on some sunken colonies here as well, and really battening down the hatches here for the pressure that's going to be coming from Light over towards his natural and his main. Light running forward, hits the stim button. He's going to try and get into a good position, but this is great. Lurker's coming up, and all the Scourge are going to connect. He gets one of these Science Vessels. The other Science Vessel does manage to survive. A lot of the Lurkers have been killed. We've still got a few more Lurkers here on the left-hand side. The Marines are kind of pushing through, though, right now. Lurker's going to burrow once again. I don't think he can actually break Sulky right here, right now, but this is really, really dangerous territory for Sulky at this moment. He might be losing his natural. Natural is going to be attacked here. Two more Irradiates come down. There's the first Defiler. He's going to kill the there's a sunken colony here, and the Defiler just doesn't have energy, it doesn't have consume. Lings and Mutas are all that's holding on here. Light is just moments away from breaking through. There may be just barely enough Lings to break this, but actually the Marines are going to win this fight, it looks like. Hydra's coming out. One more Marine, it dies. He holds. He holds.
He holds. Soki holds, but hold the phone. There's a dropship in the main base. Light's not done with him yet. Here comes a few Stim Marines making their way into the middle line. Drones being pulled desperately, trying to protect them as Light now comes with the 1-2 punch in the natural expansion after Soki's forced to respond into the main, starting to take out some of those drones. There's another Defiler setting up another Dark Swarm, but there's no units underneath it, saying Defiler mounts going down, drones being absolutely destroyed in the natural expansion, and Light racing ahead in supply 105 to 50. Has Light done it? Has Light taken out Soki? He's absolutely all over him right now, saying.
Yeah, just non-stop attacks here from Light. He's gonna come over and break through this third. It's looking like, oh, some lurkers are coming up. The Lings are trying to actually block these Marines from escaping, and he does a good job of it, killing off all of these Marines. Wait a second. Damn, Sulky is slick with it, man. He's actually managed to keep himself alive after all of that. Managing to stay alive here in this game is just so shocking. Kind of at a loss for words right now. Really, Sulky is actually going to have a chance here? Maybe. That's quite a few science vessels coming across the map with a really good supply of Marines, and no damage has been done to Light whatsoever. So he is in a great position with just 59 supply left over. Can Sulky hold on? He's kind of past the point, the kind of breaking point for Zerg, which is around that 70 supply mark. If you drop below that, you're probably going to end up losing that game. Oh, so many irradiates here. This is so frustrating right now for Sulky. He's got almost nothing, and now he's just been reduced once again. So many lurkers go down there. Another dropship out for Light. He's going to load up 2 dropships and go for the main. This pressure is looking to be too much for Sulky to handle.
Yeah, this Soulful Soldier Soji trudging along in this game at 60 supply, barely enough to survive, but not enough to thrive. Kind of looking dire right now, sending some Lings out onto the map, but then thinking better of it. Not really able to do anything against Light, powering away on 3 base economy right now. And with this, the constant threat of the drops into the main base while this pressure on the front is always looming is really tough for Soki to manage. There is some Para Scourge, gonna make a good connection on that drop ship, taking out one of them immediately, and unable to get a full drop into the main base. Might make it slightly easier to clean up, but he's still going to get some damage done. He's still distracting Soki, and he has forces at his third base ready to clean up those Lings as well. And now going to be starting to target the Spire in the main base. Now that's gone down. He can't make any Scourge to keep connecting with these vessels and dropships, making another headache for Soki to have to manage and navigate around right now. Down to 50 supply, 49. Not really able to muster any kind of response to Light, just barely hanging on by a thread is Sulky.
Yeah, Sulky, he really needed to shut that drop down a lot harder to give himself a chance in this game, but the Firebat drop is so smart right now from Light. You know that he's going to be defending with Lings because he just doesn't have money for anything else. So dropping those Firebats in the main proved to be really a huge headache for Sulky. Now running into the natural once again. He's found a gap in the defenses. He's going to shove his foot in there and wench the door open. There it is. GG. Light takes him down. Sulky, a valiant defense of the Zerg race, finally does get taken down though by this godly Terran player. Beautifully, beautifully done there by Light.
Wow, Light was all along, it was Light at the end of the tunnel for the Terran race, the human race. Us, saying Light was representing us in this game. I feel honored. Thank you, Light.
Well, guys, there you have it. Terran is our victor for KCM 2023. Season 3 was an absolutely insane performance from Light, but a great comeback from Sulky as well.
Sulky making his way all the way to the end of the tunnel, but in the end, the light was just blinding. And yeah, unfortunately for him, not going to be able to carry the weight of the Zerg swarm on his shoulders. Although he did a good effort of it. Unfortunately, though, the likes of Hero, Soma, and Queen not quite showing up. We did see a nice little cheeky play from Light using that same Sark strategy of sneaking that Marine behind the mineral field from the drill and being really super annoying. And we saw some really nice plays from Light overall. He's honestly like the TVZ god, the Flash of TVZ, the one that carries the torch for the human race. And honestly, like, I've seen nothing but exemplary play from this guy, and I'm kind of excited to see how he performs in the ASL as well.
Yeah, you can see that his TVZ is top notch right now because there are so many Zerg players in the ASL. I'm sure that he's been practicing like mad to get ready for that, for the number of Zerg players that he's going to have to battle. It's very exciting to see him on the top of his game. Solki as well, he did great. I'm sure that Queen is pretty salty about that loss on La Compagnie, as you were saying before, doing that cheeky strategy, jumping the Marine over the wall. It seems just a little bit too good against Zergs. We're gonna have to see more adjustments from them to block that in the future. But Light played great, Solki played great. Most of the other players didn't really show up today, but it was an excellent back and forth between Solki and Light. All the games between the two of them were fantastic.
Honestly, I think the solution to that little Marine thing is just anticipating that timing and simply making a single pair of Lings that are waiting at that time to block the Marine coming in, and that's the way you deal with it. And you just take that cost of making that pair of Lings at that time, because you know that not doing that means you're going to lose a lot more in the long run if you don't do that, right?
Yeah, there's no way that they can try to jump the Marine over while you've got two Lings hitting them. That's just not going to be viable. So we should see that adjustment come out of these Zerg players in the future. Guys, that's it. We are done. Season 3 is finished. We're going to be taking a week break. That's the way it is here at KCM, but we'll be right back into Season 4 here to round out 2023. It's been an absolute pleasure, Shun. Had a lot of fun this season. Thank you for joining me.
Pleasure's all mine. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you all tuning in.
Yeah, make sure to head over to the KCM channel. Make sure to like the video and leave a comment as well. Also, check out Shun's streaming channel here on YouTube. The link is going to be in the description, guys. That's it. That's all we have for you today. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you in the next season.